What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Season Gaming Bitcast, your weekly show covering all the biggest topics of the gaming industry with industry, technical, and legal insight. I am your host, Ainsley Bowden, and today we have our last show of 2022. We're going to be doing a couple things we did announce ahead of time. It should be fun. Sadly, Dan cannot be here today. He's got Christmas family obligations already. But we have someone you may have heard of. I don't know. I think he's been here before. I don't remember. But Mr. Luke Lohr, host of the Xbox Expansion Pass, Bitcast regular, coming in the clutch to fill in for Dan. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, man.
Of course.
Are we violating FIFA's copyright over there in the back corner, Luke?
Probably. Darn right we are. Absolutely. For good measure, too. It's the World Cup, man. It's been a good game so far. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, sorry about the people who are hugely into the World Cup. Most of our European viewers as well, along with a bunch of American ones. Is that I did not realize that the final of the World Cup was happening at our normal Bitcast time, but here we are. So if you are late joining us, we will we'll hopefully catch you, or you'll hopefully catch us after the fact. Travis, you've been dancing the entire time. I like the enthusiasm. You ready to go today? How you doing?
That's right. Bitcast waits for no final event of sports. That's right. McClunky, everyone. Happy to be here. Excited. It's the end of the year. Dan isn't here. So many reasons to be happy. I'm just kidding. I like Dan. But yeah, hi guys.
And fair enough. And of course, the Hogue himself sadly has been under the weather pretty badly this week. As anyone who follows Hogue knows, his kind of content schedule got screwed up. But he's a trooper. He is here for the last Bitcast of 2022. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ains. Yeah, I have not been online at all since Tuesday. So we're going to see how I can do together on this. But I'm happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to talking about games.
There you go. That you can tell that you've been sick because that was your most kind of flat opening I've heard from you in a while.
my ears are full of stuff and they're really pounding against my head. So we're going to do what we can.
Here's my vow to you guys. So at some point during the show, I will say something that will snap Hogue to consciousness. It'll make him feel alive and young and virile. It'll be great. Y'all are going to love it.
Hogue, I was going to offer that if at any point you need me to mute Travis, actually, I think you still have admin control. So feel free.
I can pull Travis from the broadcast.
Let's do it. Kick me. Kick me. Do it. I'm like the Joker standing in the middle of the road. Hit me.
So last show of 2022, as everyone knows,
I need is a Batman reference, and then you pick me up.
Next Sunday is Christmas Day. We'll be off. The following Sunday is New Year's Day, so we're still working out what we're doing for our next couple weeks here in terms of Bitcast. But we'll end 2022 today. We've got a couple things to talk about. We're going to be talking about High on Life because Travis reviewed it for IGN, and I know a bunch of people have been playing it. We've got a couple small news topics to talk about, but primarily our show is going to be a recap of 2022, kind of going through and thinking about the games that released this year that were kind of forgotten, things that were underappreciated, overrated in our opinion, biggest disappointments. So kind of just our view on 2022 as a whole, and we'll do that. We're also going to be doing some giveaways over the course of the show. I'm going to be experimenting with this giveaway tool for the first time. I'm sure it'll go perfectly with no problems. So we'll see how that goes. I didn't want to announce the giveaways ahead of time because, quite frankly, I wanted it to go to our regular audience that is here hanging out with us, so we don't get the people just jumping in trying to steal money from us who don't normally watch.
Didn't want to give it to soccer fans really badly. I want to make sure that no soccer fans got the money.
I like that you've committed to calling it soccer as well, even during the World Cup. I appreciate it.
I don't want people to get confused. Our American viewers, I'm doing it for them because there's a superior football sport here. Anyway, move on. Go Niners.
Yes, go Niners. Anyway, should be a good show. Looking forward to it. We've got a couple things to share right out of the gate. But before we get started, Don Lionheart is in the house with a very, very generous super chat right out of the gate. See, I'm already hitting the wrong things. We're off and running, everyone. Don with a $50 super chat. Merry Christmas and happy first day of Hanukkah, Travis.
First
Bitcast. first night. Ah, yes. You've all been such a great source of entertainment and fun since I started watching earlier this year. Hogue, did you play Genshin, the trading card game or collectible card game yet? Make a Bitcast a 3-hour podcast. Don, you'll have to take that up with my co-hosts here. They I don't think they like that suggestion, but thank you for the generous super chat. Hogue?
The answer, Don, is that I have turned back on Genshin Impact, and it is very difficult to come into after you've played it for maybe 5 or 6 hours and are trying to remember how anything works, because the way the game operates, because it's a gacha, you really can't go back in time and like remind yourself where you are, what's happening, how to play the game. So I was going through the tutorial menus and I was getting not very far, and then I went back to Witcher. But it is now downloaded on my system, and I intend to get to the card game at minimum. So it might just take me a little while. I haven't been playing a ton.
There you go. As for the 3-hour show, yeah, well, I'll let these guys talk about that. That's tough sometimes, but
Isn't it
we do
already?
appreciate.
Did you watch last episode?
Ains just drags us over whatever time limits we give anyway.
I did not sign up for 3 hours either.
Well, too
What?
bad.
Oh boy.
Buckle in, sir. Buckle
Oh
in.
no.
I
I get
But thank
tired
you, Don.
after an hour on cast, bro.
Trust me, I'm aware, sleepy man. Thank you, Don. Appreciate you. And Googleman, good old Googleman, in the house with his weekly super sticker saying bravo this week. And bravo
you.
indeed. Thank you, Googleman. I like Googleman better than Google Man. We're rolling with it at this point.
Googleman.
Googleman.
Yeah,
I'm
Googleman.
Googleman. Lahayim. How you doing?
Thank you very much. And let's see. So I want to, before we get into the topic, I do want to shout out a viewer of the show, Chinchilla of Evidence, who has now made it almost a weekly thing where he edits together a clip of us talking about a topic. And it is very, very comical the way he edits these pieces together. So he's done one with us talking about Marvel Snap. He did another topic this week because of the Game Awards conversation, the whole Bill Clinton thing that took off on social media and the Game Awards. He actually edited a clip of us talking about the Game Awards last week and added a special guest. So I'm going to share that here right now in case you haven't seen it, because I think it's worth showing. It's just 1.5 minutes long. Audio listeners, don't worry. I'm going to edit this out because it wouldn't make sense listening to it, so you won't have to hear it. But for our video viewers, please enjoy. Obviously, we've been talking about this for a while. So yeah, Ragnarok was up with Elden Ring, Immortality, Forbidden West, and Requiem,
Elden Ring? What
which
That's where you get into
I
the big
think
internet
highlights the issue with the Game Awards is if you look through all these categories one by one, those same 5 games are up for like 10 different awards, like all of them. And it just shows the narrow scope, to your point, Travis, of here's the games that are popular, here's the ones people recognize, here's the ones people have actually played, here's the ones that are going to win the awards.
Right,
Plague
and
Tale
here's
win
some
any-
ads. That's what.
And
they
here's
do,
some ads
really.
to go over top of
Yeah.
it.
People advertise because it works.
Here's the inherent flaw. If you're a judge on the video game panel, it has nothing to do with the critic class or blah, blah, blah. It just has to do with the fact that they don't send you the stack of video games and go, you have to play all of these. You have to finish them all. That doesn't happen.
Let me ask you this, Hogue, best family game.
My honest answer for best family game, this is just from personal experience, is Nintendo Switch Sports. We have a blast with it.
Really?
Yeah. It's playable in the room with your family, notably. And it is excellent. But Splatoon 3 is probably the one that gets the most play.
More fun than shooting your neighbor's cat.
I would trade straight up the family game category for the game of the year category, because like that's where the fun lives in Hogue House.
Let's go ahead and close this out here. There's a couple other new videos out there of hardware, a new controller I tested for the Switch. I won't go into all the details. Just check out the channel and you'll find it there.
9 programmable weapons buttons. Customizable feedback software. Push the stick that pushes back and feel your pain.
And as we said, we'll have some good shows in the coming weeks with the holidays. Hope everyone is doing well. Thank you as always for tuning in, and we will see you next Sunday. Peace. All right. So I had to share that. So shout out to Chinchilla of Evidence. He is amazing. Hogue.
That was fantastic. For those of you that don't know, that saw before, I went down like a old timey blimp on Tuesday of this week. I actually hired Chinchilla. They're doing they're doing shorts and things for me on my channel.
Nice.
Excellent.
Yeah, they're an excellent editor, very responsive, and so you've been seeing some of their work on my channel. I think they've got 3 or 4 videos up on mine now.
Nice.
So,
Fantastic.
and it was the job interview was doing these clips for Bitcast because I think they're amazing.
Yeah, and Ains got Bill Clinton to help him write a review for.
I want to know how
gaming.
long it
That's
took
great.
Chinchilla.
I know that's so
Go through
specific.
the freaking Bill Clinton speeches.
The archives, yeah,
Yeah,
impressive, pretty good.
yeah, it was great. That's
good.
fantastic. No, I hadn't seen that yet.
Unprogrammable weapons buttons. That's what really gets me.
All right. Let's jump over to what we're playing. So, Travis, I'm going to start with you. So, High on Life came out this week.
Yeah.
It was codes came late. The release seemed to just kind of happen, and it definitely seems to be a game mostly because of its writing and comedy style that is divisive. I see some people who are saying it's absolutely incredible. I see others who say they couldn't stand more than an hour of it. And I know that you and Hogue are even split on this one. So you did the review for IGN. You gave it an 8 by the time you got to obviously the end of the game and you kind of reflected on it. Why did you give it a high score?
Just to mess with Hogue.
First of all, I'd believe it. But no, I don't think you'd put your professional characteristics and reputation behind just getting on me.
It is a great game. It's obviously it's got kind of as its centerpiece. It is a very Roiland game. So if you have a problem with his comedy or you don't like lowbrow humor, you're probably going to be clutching your pearls. I am not in that. I'm not in that category, certainly. So I enjoyed it. It made me laugh. It's a good game. It's also a lot less sort of like lacking of substance than I think some people were expecting. So it has good upgrade systems and a lot of stuff to do after you beat the campaign, a secret ending you can find, like exploration you can do when you go back to areas and you have new abilities, the jetpack and the ability to walk on walls and up the sides of buildings and that sort of stuff. So it kind of surprised me with some of its depth. It definitely is like a backloaded game in that it doesn't impress in the first hours when you're just using your pistol and you don't have any abilities, but it gets better as you go along. As does the writing, weirdly. I mean, the combat was kind of also not very good at the beginning. Again, it's kind of a backloaded game that way. And it has some bugs. But other than that, it ended up being better than I thought it was going to be, especially the longer it went on and it sort of opens up. My main point would be that they should probably have gotten you to the place where you have abilities a little bit sooner, because you spend a lot of the game with either just the pistol or none of the traversal like movement abilities that you end up really being useful and making the game a lot more fun later in the game. But it was better than I expected. And if you like comedy games, you're a fan of Roiland's other work, you'll probably like this one as well. Definitely has like a Borderlands 2 kind of vibe to it. It's that level of grossness. I quite enjoyed it. It's a good game. Should play it if you like comedy.
Okay, hold on. That last sentence. Hang on. If you like comedy, you'll like this game. Comedy as a concept.
I mean, you can choose.
If you don't like this game, you are a humorless oaf.
No, I'm just saying if you like comedy, you'll probably like this game. It's a comedy game.
All right, you backed up a step.
And he leaves.
All right. You probably like this game. I'm going to give the opposite review of Travis. He says it's lowbrow and gross out humor. Honestly, I ain't never heard anything like this in the first 2-3 hours of this game. Do you care about alien sexual proclivities, how they might accomplish sexual acts? Well, we've got the game for you. But if that doesn't sound like an intriguing time, and if you think it's as sophomoric as what I just described, you're right, then probably going to bounce off you pretty hard. As for the game, Travis, do you feel like you're reviewing it on a curve at all? Like it's better than your expectations? It's deeper than you thought? I mean, it's still not grand, is it?
Not at the beginning. So, I mean, this it grows into kind of a better game the longer you play it. But no, I'm not grading it on a curve. No.
I'd also say in terms of humor, it reminds me more of Borderlands 3 than Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2 is what we would call clever.
Borderlands 3 is in a different league of not funny. I would say Royland, like
a different league of not funny is what I would put on the box for High on Life.
All right. Well, agree to disagree there. Obviously, I think you are not a fan of Royland's work, is my understanding.
I've watched Rick and Morty. I think it plays better in Rick and Morty, but it is interesting to see them play in the same sandbox and not just license the damn name. That I thought was interesting, but I had negative fun with it. I didn't enjoy it. I know you have me pearl clutching, but
a little bit.
You call it humor. I call it nonsense. It's like the scribblings of a sixth grader.
I mean, did you like South Park and the Stick of Truth?
I think Stick of Truth is okay. I think whatever the other one is,
as at least in the same vein as that game in terms of its sophomore humor. So if you don't like potty jokes or sex jokes or making jokes about various things that you might hear on the school ground play yard, then yeah, you're probably going to be upset. But it's definitely in the same league.
I'm not upset about it. I stared. We should have a camera on me playing High on Life where I have absolutely no facial movements at all, no laughing, no chuckling, no slight. Oh, you got me there, High on Life. Just like wow.
I haven't tried it yet, so I can't comment. Luke, have you played High on Life at all?
No, I teach middle school and I'm friends with Joseph Moran. So this type of humor is not something I need in my personal life at the moment. Now, over the holiday, I expect to try it. But I'm not a Justin Roiland fan by default, right? I think I just missed his window of time when he entered the scene. But I work with that kind of humor all the time. I enjoy that in the finite amount of time that I allot for it. But right now, there are other things I'm enjoying playing and interested in playing, but I'm really enjoying following the story of High on Life, like seeing how it's charting is incredible, seeing its engagement numbers for single player. If anyone hasn't checked out Benji Sales' Twitter feed, please do. It really highlights a lot of how impactful High on Life is being. So I guess I'm enjoying High on Life from that perspective, but I'm not interested in playing it at the moment. I will tell you, without my tongue in cheek here, I've had several students come up to me. I teach 7th grade and say, "Mr. Lohr, have you tried out High on Life yet?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." so there's that element of the game for me, I suppose.
And it's you're split. Even the comments are split. Some people love it all the way through. Other people said they agree. Mediocre gameplay and the humor isn't there. So, like you said, it's a divisive game.
Yeah,
but it's getting...
And hey, if you don't like the humor, there's a lot of reviews out there that maybe are more critical of humor or less humorless reviewers than myself.
I was going to say
humorless.
Okay, you can't take this ground, Travis, that anybody that has humor bones or likes comedy is going to like this crap. Like that can't be where you stake out.
I could do that. I could do that if I want. I could say you don't have a sense of humor. That's totally right. No, look, I get it. It's not for everybody. I would say probably this panel is older than maybe the target audience. I would say there's got to be.
Apparently, it's 7th graders, so nailed it, Xbox.
Sure, but what's wrong with making games for 7th graders?
High on Life is not appropriate for 7th graders.
It would have been appropriate for me in 7th grade. I watched South Park when I was in 7th grade. There's a lot of people that would probably.
South Park is considerably less.
No, dude, you are forgetting some episodes of South Park, my friend.
I don't know what decade you watched South Park in, but when I was in high school watching South Park, it was significantly more clever than this.
Fine. Yeah. I think there's a lot of people that disagree with you. There's a lot of people that agree with you. If you want to see a review by somebody who didn't think it was funny, there's lots of those. And if you want to see a review by somebody who got a great deal of laughs out of it, you can read my review. So there you go. Lots of opinions out there.
What can't be denied, though, is how interested people are in the game. There's a lot of people talking about the game, playing the game, and it's a single-player first-person shooter that launched day one into Game Pass, which is kind of remarkable when you think about it. Like when I when I look at the fact that it's ahead of free-to-play titles on Xbox's most played list, I mean, ahead of Apex and Roblox and Overwatch.
No. It's not. It's ahead of them. It's ahead on the Game Pass chart, not the overall play chart.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's actually a very good thing for me to add to my own.
That's a big difference.
Yeah. That is. Thank you on the Game Pass charts. Thank you. But still, nonetheless, like still to be charting so high is pretty darn impressive for people to be interested in, at the very least, figuring out how they feel about it. And to Travis's point about there are plenty of reviewers not in with the humor, that has also been interesting for me to watch, because it's really telling of just how hit or miss this humor type is. So that has been fun for me to just kind of, I guess you would say, monitor. And this is definitely a game I'm going to play down the line. I don't know about you, Ains. Like, is this something you're going to play down the line?
I haven't installed. Yeah, I'm going to try it. I don't know where it's going to land, honestly, because I'm even personally, I'm hit or miss. Like some South Park stuff I think is absolutely idiotic, and other stuff I think is like, okay, it's kind of funny, and I land in the middle. So listening to Travis and Hogue, it's like I honestly think I'm going to be right in the middle of it's okay, but I might find some of it stupid. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see.
And I'm watching the chat too, just how they feel. It's all about, to me, watching the story of the game.
Yeah. RJH said Dan looks different. Yeah, Dan. He went on a 7-day fitness routine. Yeah,
been juicing. Yeah.
Good times.
All right. Well, anyway, high on life, divisive. It's out there. At least, the one nice thing about Game Pass, we always say, right? You can just try it if you're a subscriber, whether, so check it out. See what
Don't try it in front of the kids, probably.
I'll try it in front of the kids. Okay. What else have you guys been playing? I know, Hogue, you mentioned Witcher 3, which I've literally, I gave my impressions last week, but I've been addicted to it. I think outside of a night of Halo, it's all I've played this week.
Yeah, what a magnificent upgrade. I've actually been playing, I haven't been playing a ton, I'm sorry. But I have been playing the Witcher 3 upgrade, which I was getting during download time when it came out. And I've been playing an RPG called Chained Echoes, which is really, really great. Really great.
That launched on Game Pass 2, also came out on the Switch. Correct me if I'm wrong, Hogue, it's like a 16-bit style RPG, kind of a classic RPG style, made by a very small team, I believe, but it's gotten rave reviews. I think its meta is like a 91 or something like that.
It's deserved. Yeah, it's a 16-bit. It's pixel graphics, I think, is what really makes people think that. But it's got a lot of modern conventions, a lot of thoughts about battle systems and things. It is a turn-based battle system, and it's an RPG. So it's old school like that. It definitely takes a lot from Chrono Trigger, as a for instance. But faster movement, faster action, different thoughts, really modernized a lot. And it's excellent so far. I've played it about 10 hours, maybe.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah, I got to check that out too. When you get addicted to The Witcher again, it's like, how much time is going to go into that. You know what I mean? It's like,
I'm already out of White Orchard. Yeah,
I'm going to open the bakery, Travis. Just you
No,
wait.
you are not, dude. That bakery is. We are all lying to Ains today on the podcast.
All right. Let me get a couple of super chats, because Rand just pointed something out as well that I want to call out. So we got Midnight Drury with the $10 super chat. Happy holidays. Thank you, Midnight Drury. Appreciate that. Appreciate the channel membership, and thank you, as always. Happy holidays back to you and everyone here hanging out with us on our final show of 2022. And sorry, jumping around screens here. Rand Outdoor in the chat, $10 super chat. Good morning, sir. I was chatting with Rand the other day because he did a show with Miles where he said Halo CE is B tier for original Xbox games, and I said he needs to be banned from Xbox for life. So $10 super chat. He says, look, we all have our bad and spicy takes from time to time. Hogue with High on Life, me saying Halo CE is a B tier game, and Ains High on Life is ahead of Overwatch 2 and Apex Legends. So he put in the chat, Luke, you were correct that it actually is ahead of Apex and Overwatch 2 on the most played games on Xbox currently. So that's really high then. That's a lot of people playing the game.
Obviously. Yeah, I pulled that from Benji, who's typically pretty reliable. I could have
sworn his was Game Pass, but I was mistaken. So very cool.
Shout out to Rand, by the way.
Shout out to Rand. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. So that is impressive. No matter you know, and obviously Game Pass helps with that a ton, but still, that's still impressive that many people are playing it. So,
big time.
All right, what else you guys been playing? Anything good?
I'll go on this one, and this might be of interest to Travis. I'm about 30-ish hours in on Sonic Frontiers, which I believe.
There we go. Good game.
Yeah.
Wait, how are you 30 hours in? That's like a 30-hour game.
It is not, Travis.
I have 100% of the first 2 islands, like completely everything.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I don't know if I'll probably will 100% the 3rd island. I just got to the 4th, like about 10 minutes before we started recording to get to the 4th island. And it's this perfect chill vibe game. Perfect for chill vibes, I should say. I'm sorry. Perfect for chill vibes to just relax and play. So I've really enjoyed just clearing the map, getting these pretty easy to get challenges. It's just had been a nice dopamine hit. And that spawned an interest in checking out older and other Sonic games that I'd never really played, because I loved Sonic here and there, but never got into Sonic. And since Frontiers came out, I went in and I beat and cleared all of Origins. I've been enjoying kind of some Sonic Venture 2 on the side, kind of in and out of Sonic Colors Ultimate, just to enjoy the character and like the level designs and stuff.
Do you like Sonic at all?
I do now. I always liked him. I guess you could say I'm really just in a phase where I'm enjoying discovering this. I like doing this, going down a rabbit hole and just learning about games, watching historical videos on it. So Frontiers has done that a lot for me, just to open, I guess, my eyes up to this character that has been hit or miss for me. And I really like the direction of gameplay that Frontiers has for this franchise. And I hope Sonic Team can get it together, because it's a genuinely fun and good mascot platformer. And after Mania, after Origins, and a few other like little hits here and there, I feel like Sonic's got a good place for mascot platformers now. And the mascot platformers are not exactly big at the moment, you know? So I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Frontiers is great. Frontiers, just like you, Luke, caused me to purchase Origins and Colors and get into those, because it really reminded me how much I used to like Sonic before the troubles.
The troubles began.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping they'll stick with that formula, though, because I felt like Frontiers was a great proof of concept. And I mean, I know it already had way too much development time on it, but if they had more time to kind of work on a sequel, I think it'd be awesome.
It was surprising to me they put out a roadmap of content. I was not expecting that in the slightest. That, I think, is kind of a credit towards the idea you're getting at, Travis. I feel like whatever development time they were in, they were trying to figure it out, because there are elements of the game that you can see maybe they were trying for something different and they pulled back. But yeah. I'm all in on this gameplay style, because it's relaxing and fun, and that's a nice vibe to have. Sometimes games are straight after Ragnarok. By the way, after I finished Ragnarok, I went to Frontiers, and that was a nice change of pace.
I swear Hogue has said that exact same
feels
thing
like
a
a
few
game.
weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's so funny, because I think what I referenced was I had the 2 boxes up there of Frontiers and Ragnarok. And strangely, the pull was always to click on Frontiers for like a long period of time. I was just having more fun. Yeah. That I got some nasty grams about that, I think.
I'm sure they're on their way for me as well. But
I mean, I think it's pretty safe bet to say that it's a more fun game. I don't know if Ragnarok's trying to make, like, it's not, you know, the whole tone of that game isn't like, hey,
you're not dragging me into a Ragnarok debate right now.
Yeah.
but
I don't know if that's a debate.
Travis, I will note that, like, we often debate this on Cast Co-op. Ains and I do, like, what is a game, and is a game supposed to be fun or not, or like what's the point of a good game? Like, and I agree with you, kind of like some of the Sony game. Sorry, you said God of War. God of War at times is not necessarily trying to be fun per se. It's trying to tell a story, and that's a different intent.
I mean, stories are fun, I think.
Can be.
They're probably, but I think it's like the spirit of the game, right? Like some games like have a very fun like vibe to them. Like it's just sort of like craziness, and Sonic Frontiers is over the top and silly, and it knows what it is. And I think some games go for like performance or art and sacrifice some of the fun there. You're always going to lose a little bit of the fun, but that can still be worth it. What I've played of Ragnarok so far is not particularly impressive, but I'm also only 5 hours in, and I hear the opening's pretty weak. So, yeah,
the middle is the weak part. I think.
Great. Well, And
I should
now
put
I
an
hear
ending
the
before.
beginning's the week, the middle's week. I hear the ending is actually everybody says the ending's good. So I need to play. I need to.
I did
finish
not say the ending is good, Travis.
Okay, cool. So there we go. We got an ending is weak as well. So everybody has opinions.
I
Surprise.
the where I've landed on Ragnarok now that I've finished it and reflected on it a bit is some of its highs, right? Like the best aspects of it are some of the best in gaming. Like
Yes.
it's incredibly well done in pieces. It's a game that is less than the sum of its parts as an overall experience and like complete picture.
False.
It's
It falls
it's
short.
got a lot of faults.
Agree.
my
Fully
opinion.
agree. Glad I have it. Glad I played it. Really enjoy that I can discuss it and think about it, but really does fall short in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
In
it's
a lot
weird.
of ways.
But anyway, Travis, you were gonna say currently playing. You're playing something else you wanted to talk about?
Yesterday, I started and rolled credits on Immortality, which was on my checklist.
Oh,
So
beautiful!
I finished that game. Yeah.
Where
What a
are you?
weird
Where are
game.
you with Hogue?
Now, when you
about
say
how
you
good that
rolled
game is?
credits,
Mhm.
okay, so we have to talk about Immortality. You say you rolled credits.
Yeah.
How much?
I fully know the story. I figured it out. I cracked the
Yeah, I was gonna
case.
say don't ruin because I'm still playing.
I'm not going to. I cracked the
I
case.
rolled credits about halfway through my play session.
Oh, I did not. I rolled credits after unlocking I think it was just about 200 clips. So I pretty much saw everything.
Right, but unlocking the clips isn't. All right, we'll talk about this offline.
I unlocked the
Travis.
clip and I unlocked the secret clips as well. I did that pretty much on everything first. And so by the time the credits rolled for me, I fully knew what was going on. I was like, all right, cool, got it. I would say that was just the way I did it. For some reason, I didn't discover the ending until way late.
That's
so
really wild because
yeah, I was
one
sort of just
specific cue will
scrubbing.
take you to the ending.
I did not know that. All right, so that's
Okay.
new information. So I pretty much I took my time with it. I was doing all the secret scrubbing of the clips first and figuring out all that stuff, and then I got to the ending that triggered the credits pretty much when I had seen everything. So
yeah, that's weird. That's almost impossible to even think about how you would do that. You'd have to avoid it.
You have to watch a certain. Yeah, are you talking about the? Yeah, I think I know.
See how much fun it is to talk about Immortality.
Yeah.
So the end clip that triggers the credits is really easy to get to. It's just a specific cue, and that'll run the credits for you when you see that. Yeah, it's interesting that you figured out the techniques and special sauce in Immortality earlier tthan I did, because I think it's supposed to be kind of like, oh, you can do that, oh, you can do that, oh, you can do that.
Oh yeah, basically the second clip I saw had a secret one, and I felt the vibrating, and I was like, all right, let's figure out why it's vibrating, and then I got the secret clip.
Travis, the QA game player, is like, oh no, you're not gonna just vibrate my controller randomly, Hoss.
So I started seeing weird stuff almost immediately. I started seeing the alternate reality stuff, and then
that's
I was
not
just
how I did it.
Yeah, and then I figured it out what was going on pretty quickly because one of the monologues was pretty explicit with it, and I was like, all right,
there's a couple of explicit ones.
I know what's going on here, and then
explicit meaning direct, Danes, not high on life.
It is a super weird game, I would say.
I've only played a couple hours, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. But
yeah, it's a super weird game. Maybe it was because I did everything super slowly, but it kind of felt a little slow for me. It's almost like an avant-garde game. It's so weird and artsy, and it reminded me of going to Berkeley and seeing an indie film, played in a small one screen theater. That's what it reminded me of. I was like, this is just a weird game. But I liked it. I would say, I've not evaluated this as a reviewer. I don't have my reviewer hat on when I was playing it, but probably a 7 or 8 for me. I thought the story was pretty good. Acting was fantastic. I could have used
Man Engage should have won.
Speaking of pointless sex stuff, man, there are some weird scenes I saw.
It's so funny because my daughter really wants to play Immortality because I've been talking up. I was like, I cannot let you play Immortality.
There's some stuff I discovered.
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna play it later today.
What's the fun in the game? What's the fun part? What's your
the fun in the game?
Scrubbing video
is feeling like you're solving a mystery.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you're putting together a narrative that is multi-layered and very complex.
Gotcha. Yeah, the fun is in solving a mystery. You're like a detective, right, going through. It's kind of the same as her story. For me, I think her story came together a little bit better for me. Like I felt like I understood the plot and it was a little more tethered, whereas this one felt like it quickly was like, all right, this is like super just out there. It's a really out there.
But her
kind of
story is just they're twins. Congrats. Immortality has a lot.
Dang.
Her
What are we
story
doing?
is 7 years old.
What are we doing?
They're twins.
Yeah.
No, Immortality does such a great job. Immortality is by far my favorite writing of the year. And my favorite performances, obviously. This is when you see me get really irritated on Twitter when I'm like, really, honest to God, you have Man Engaged sitting right there. You are ridiculous. The Game Awards, you are absolutely ridiculous.
By the way, I was looking at it, says I just learned yesterday Man Engaged did a Q&A / play along of Immortality. That would be cool to watch, I guess, once you're done the game.
Yeah, there's a lot to reveal and spoil in Immortality, so you're definitely going to want to play it yourself first.
Okay.
Yeah, it should have won something. I mean, performances is the easy one. Like the performances are so damn good in that game.
Yeah, it's not a full motion video game like you're thinking of the 90s. It's real.
And the writing is great too. The writing is great too. It was really just the mystery that I ended up solving. I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's mystery. That's interesting.
Don't play it like Travis, like some weirdo.
who doesn't immediately start searching for secrets when they're playing?
I didn't even notice that. I didn't even notice any of that stuff until I was like halfway through, and I'm doing some stuff with the features in the game, and I go, wait, what happened there?
The second scene I saw was the end of the first movie that has the secret scene in it.
You saw that conversation?
That was like my second or third thing I clicked on. And then the fourth one that I saw was the script reading with Arthur, the director of the first movie, that also has a secret scene that is extremely sexual. And by that point, I was like 5 minutes in, and I was like, "What am I playing? This is Hogue. What did you tell me to play?" I felt like you were doing it to me. I felt like Hogue was in the room, just taking off his bra and doing a dance in front of me.
Well, so it treats those concepts. All right, see, you're gonna make me sound like I'm at Berkeley. It treats those concepts with specificity to make points about various aspects of the overall thesis that it has as a story.
Okay. Yeah. No, I agree. To me, I was like, all right, this is super artsy. Maybe I just coming off of High on Life and going straight to that was a little bit of a weird kind of mental.
Those are the exact opposite.
Yeah, dude, they really are.
To storytelling.
Like, one is just like completely insane, stupid, doesn't even try. And the other one was trying so hard. And I was sort of just like, also, it's weird to have a fiance walk in on parts of that game and not be there for the whole thing. Like she kept going in and being like, are you in here just like, being disgusting? And I was like, no, I'm playing a game Hogue recommended. And she walked away right away because I think Hogue recommended another game and she played it and she hated it. It was that one where like a story is being told. It's like the girl in the book, Hogue.
Oh yeah.
That one. She played that on your recommendation. She was like, I don't know what Hogue was talking about. I hated that game. And I was like, all right, man. All right, chill. So yeah, I guess
we get along so well when we're online.
Yeah, she's over 2. I know, yeah, she does like you.
Immortality is
it's a good game.
It's my game of the year. We've already talked about that. But it's it's certainly trying to do different things than High on Life. I'm willing to commit to that.
I have a World Cup update that France has scored to make it 2-1.
Twice.
Oh, it's 2-2?
It's 2-2 now with 8 minutes in regulation. Hold on.
Did he freeze?
You can just put your logo up and go watch the end of the soccer game. It'd be fine.
Hogue, you're still here, right? Like,
I'm still here.
Yeah. Luke and Travis keep freezing. I don't know what's going on, but anyway.
We're all still here.
None of them are freezing for me, Ains.
Yeah,
so
they're not freezing for me.
Oh, maybe it's on my side. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm happy that one of you, after 6 months of me talking about it, finally played through Immortality. I felt like I really didn't have enough pull here.
Look, this is going to be such a backloaded year for me because I'm now done with reviews and previews. So literally the next 2 weeks are going to be me playing through every game I didn't play through. I have a checklist. And
I'm happy Immortality was high on your list, Travis.
It was because I knew I could finish it in a day. I'm trying to get done with all of the 1 day stuff. I'm going to do Pentiment. I'm going to do.
And I did like you
Pentiment's a 1 day
hard when you play games,
Probably
Travis, because it took me like a week.
Oh no, I go hard. I go hard. If a game has like a time to beat of like 6 to 10 hours, I'll be like, I can do that in a day, easy.
You got to remember, he doesn't do anything else.
I
you
don't.
even
I don't have a
watch all the
family.
scenes?
This is what Travis does.
I
Can you
watched
even-
them all.
You can
I
watch
watched them
all the
all.
scenes in Immortality in 6 hours.
I mean, there were hundreds of them. There were at least 200. I think I saw 200. I counted them because they're in rows of 5. I went through and I counted, and it was like over 200, or maybe exactly 200. So
I'm gonna go check Travis's achievements.
go for it. Go for it.
All right. Enough on Immortality.
Never.
Yeah. All
Have
right,
you got-
let's get to super chat, and I'm gonna do a giveaway as well. So Dan Lazaro in the house, he says, "I'm 40, above average intelligence, and I think High on Life is hilarious and fun." Darn you! Those who think it's not funny are probably just unfunny people.
Classic.
Travis baited that hook, didn't he?
There you go.
This
I think
is
the
where
same
I
thing.
respond that he clearly has a high enough IQ to understand Rick and Morty, right? That's
Yeah,
how the meme goes.
that's the meme. Yeah, I will clarify that I was joking when I said that you have to be unfunny. That was obviously a facetious statement. Dude, there's going to be so many people that don't like this. I like that type of I was a comedian professionally for almost a decade. So like for me, I really adore humor and comedy, and I think he's a good joke writer. That said, not all of his jokes land. The constant cursing and toilet humor I pointed out in my review is a problem even for me. I knew immediately, like, wow, a lot of people are going to look at this and go, yikes. But a lot of people said that about Stick of Truth, about Borderlands 2. A lot of people don't find those games funny. I do. I like those games. I make it clear in my review that I'm the type of person. So if you like that type of comedy as well, you probably will like it. If not, if you're not a Roiland fan, if you, have you kind of have had it up to here with dirty jokes, then you're probably not going to like it. So that's just how it goes. That's how the cookie crumbles. It's a comedy game.
Punchlines, half of the Roiland shtick is to just say the same thing 20 times, then kind of break the fourth wall laughing and then finish your sequence. And it's like,
yeah.
I like the clip I saw where they made fun of Kotaku, IGN, Polygon. That was a fun clip. Did you see that one,
was
Travis?
included in my review, by the way.
Nice.
All right.
Did anybody
Thank
watch
you, Dan.
the video
Appreciate
review?
the comment.
Not yet.
nobody watches your video reviews, Travis. I'm sorry.
I watched your Sonic Frontiers one. I usually wait on reviews, watching them until I'm playing the game, which seems counterintuitive. But I often wait until I've entered the realm of the game to watch reviews.
I can just
Actually,
read your stuff so much faster.
That is kind of funny, Hogue. I don't watch the video reviews either. I read Travis's reviews.
Well, Travis has
He's
a
just
good writing
frozen,
style. I mean, I don't want him to get a big head, but he has a good writing style and he reads
Thank
fast.
you.
So
I
apparently
prefer
my
that
camera-
people read them. So yeah, your camera.
Apparently my camera's stuck now. So good Lord. Yeah, I must be having internet issues. I apologize. All right. So let's do a giveaway. I want to give away a $25 gift card. Any platform of choice. Anyone can win.
anyone? Am I eligible?
Anyone? For real?
Well, definitely not Luke. But otherwise.
You haven't paid me for all my contributions to SG in
True.
months.
Dude, I told you, dude, $4.
Months?
I'm working on it. So $25. All you have to do, bear with me. I've never used this before. We're doing it live. So hold your horses. We're going to figure this out. All right. So match text. We are going to do, all you have to do to enter is type in hashtag high on life in the chat.
I refuse out of principle.
This one, hashtag high on life on chat. So put that in the chat if you want to be entered. $25 gift card, your platform of choice. All right. With that, guys, and I'll draw that here in just a minute or two. So get your entry in if you want to be drawn. So
this is like a proof of life system. Like you're not a
basically
robot?
what it does is it captures the hashtags live in the chat, and then I can use StreamYard to draw it randomly, which I can actually show on the screen.
Because this feels like an attack. I'm just looking at the chat. They're just all high on life.
It's all for you. It's all for
Yeah.
you. Yeah, it's all for you.
All right.
We got 32 entries so far. Duplicates don't count. You only need to do it once. All right. So we've got the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters coming to the PS4 and Switch. They're skipping Xbox again. Hogue, I know we talked about these a while ago because I think this was the first thing I picked up on my Steam Deck when I got it.
Great for
because they're out on PC, and I know we were both playing them. It's a cool collection.
Thanks, Travis.
but sadly they are coming to. Well, not sadly. Sadly, they are skipping Xbox, but they are at least coming to PlayStation and Switch. So
yeah, Square doesn't like Microsoft. I mean, there's probably something more deep in there in terms of how expensive it is to port and what to bring over to systems. But it seems to me like there's a fracture at some level between those two companies.
Big time. I agree with that. And it's curious to know, like, what could it be? We've seen Microsoft court so many companies at this point to get their content.
Well, they still occasionally get Square content. I mean, Octopath Traveler is on Xbox. It's Final Fantasy in particular stays off.
Crisis Core was there, and that's the one that's like, why are you there when the others won't be, right?
Crisis Core is a weird pick to have over on the Xbox.
yeah, I mean, and Final Fantasy VII Remake's still not there. And then, like, was it a year or two ago they did that big announcement where they're like, the Final Fantasy franchise is coming to Game Pass, and they brought like a bunch of the Final Fantasies to Game Pass, and then now you're here a year later or however long it's been, and it's like, yeah, the Pixel remasters, Final Fantasy VII Remake still not. They're not coming. It's very, very odd.
Strange.
Well, the funny part is that 13, the entire 13 trilogy is best on Xbox, and that's just because they had their their AI glow up stuff that they did for the older games, and Final Fantasy 13 gets the frame rate bump, gets the resolution bump, gets all that stuff on the Xbox. It's by far the better place to play than the modern PlayStation, and yet it's still treated poorly.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I don't get it. All right, going to give you 60 more seconds to get your entries in on the giveaway here. Hogwarts Legacy Showcase 2, guys. So we got the second showcase for Hogwarts Legacy this week, where a few of the developers and one fan who I personally don't believe they should have invited on the show because he completely threw it off, was showing the open world for Hogwarts Legacy. They showed some of the different environmental effects, weather changing, the seasons, kind of the open world approach. I gotta say, guys, I know we've said it before, but the more I see of this game, the more excited I get for it. I'm very, very excited for this game.
Yeah, no, it'll be great.
Looks good.
Same. Yeah. I don't care about Harry Potter at all, and I'm interested in playing this. So that's cool.
I completely agree. I'm not a Harry Potter guy, but the game looks great.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
If you're a fan of high school simulators like Midnight Suns, then it's a good game to get excited for.
Midnight Suns.
Sorry, it's very similar.
How's your dating sim going over there? Still going well?
It's great.
Yeah,
Midnight that one's
the best game of the year.
That's a slower paced game for me, so working my way through it.
Gotcha. Rob Frawley says, Portia, was it the same fan as the first Hogwarts stream? No, it was not. It was some community member, and obviously no offense to him, but man, his commentary and just it threw the whole stream off for me. It was very odd, I think, and I was like, just let me hear from the people making the game. He's saying very silly things at silly times, and it didn't work for me personally, but that's just
perhaps he's been indoctrinated by Reformed Orthodox Rabbi Bill Clinton.
True.
That's very true.
That.
Could be true. Yeah.
Everybody
personally, I hate members of the community. I never want to. Generally.
All right, let's go ahead and do this giveaway. Like I said, first time doing this. Let's see if this works, right? All right,
God,
we're going to try it. Win. All right, stop it.
I entered.
The winner is Ainsley Bowden.
Yes.
Congratulations to him.
I'm excited, guys.
Good guy.
That's not it. Oh, for God's sakes. Nope, that's not it either. What has happened?
Did I win?
I was the only entry for High on Hogue, though, so I think I'm going to win that date with Hogue. So,
naturally, the darn screen is not working properly, so figures
Love
right.
it.
Anyway, gonna draw it now, and I'll let you know who the winner is. I was hoping to share this online. The winner is Super Panda. Congratulations.
And an excellent name.
Super Panda, yeah, excellent name. In
the
chat,
Panda.
Go ahead and DM me. DM me directly. My DMs are open, and I'll get you $25 to your platform of choice. Congrats. Thanks for hanging out with us today. And we're going to be doing some more giveaways through the course of the show as well, so stick with us. Tao, channel member, says, happy holidays, everyone. Great year, SG, Bitcasters, and Cast Co-op. How is Luke out in the daylight? Just kidding.
He's clearly not out anywhere.
Really love that joke, Haynes. Thanks for that. You're more pale than me.
I know.
Yeah, but you look more like a vampire. To be clear, You have a very vampiric look to you.
Well, like a cool
sure.
Vampire the Masquerade type vampire.
For sure,
like,
yeah. You look like one
Okay.
of the modern day vampires who's also a DJ. That's what you look
Okay.
like. Yeah.
DJ Vamp. That's what they call me.
DJ
That's
Vamp.
the look.
DJ,
That's
DJ
the look.
Vamp.
I want to suck your beat. Is
Oh, God.
Travis has a
Wow.
way with words.
Wow.
I tried.
All right. So the last piece of news before we get to 2022 recap is Tomb Raider. They announced this week. Obviously, we knew it was being developed by Crystal Dynamics, but they announced that it's going to be published by Amazon Studios or Amazon Games. Square Enix is not involved in this new journey with Tomb Raider at all. So I know the modern Tomb Raider games pretty celebrated, I would say, fair to say,
Good.
and going to be interested to see what they do here. But it's kind of interesting, I guess. Depending on where you stand on Square Enix, this might be a good thing. But Amazon Games.
Well, they're owned by Embracer now. I mean, we remember that, right?
That's true.
Like
Yeah.
Crystal Dynamics is sleeping around with everybody right this second, and that's kind of wild. As a lawyer, I would love to know like the order of the contracts, when these things were settled, and how, because Embracer, why are you not publishing the Tomb Raider games? I have questions.
Yeah.
I agreed.
And Crystal Dynamics is working on Perfect Dark.
Yep, Crystal Dynamics is working on Microsoft stuff, publishing a game for Amazon, and technically owned by Embracer.
What do you guys think about Crystal in general? Like when you hear Crystal Dynamics, do you get positive vibes, negative vibes? Because I am really torn on whether or not I'm like, they're a good dev right now. I don't know
they're
how
good.
I feel.
Oh, they're
You think
very positive vibes for me, but I mean,
Yeah,
my brain tends to go to the like 3DO era.
They have a pretty good track record, though, right? Like,
yeah, Avengers was there, and then they had the Tomb Raider trilogy, which hit or like I think they're great, but like kind of missed by the end. They missed the landing, I think.
Shadow of
and
the
then
Tomb Raider is good.
I think it is as well, but I mean in terms of like mind share, I don't hear about it very often in the conversations.
Well, the Rise deal really killed them. Killed Phil. Killed Crystal Dynamics. Bad idea.
Yeah,
bad idea.
Agreed. And so to a couple kind of those releases next to the news of Crystal being involved in so many places, I'm not sure how I'm to feel about them. Like, where's your talent? Which team is working on it? What's going on with your focus point? So I guess that's what I'm wondering with them.
Well, Marvel's Avengers single player I thought was very good. I think Square Enix asked them to do something they weren't good at. They're not a live services team. I think every time that they're not going to be asked to do something that they don't want to do, they'll be better at it. I suspect the new Tomb Raider will be great, except honestly for the combination of Amazon, because I don't trust Amazon gaming choices. Hopefully they're just sitting out there with a sack of money and not making any editorial decisions. But yeah, I mean, I have a very positive vibe towards Crystal Dynamics because I don't really view Avengers as primarily their fault. I don't know that they knew what they were doing, and I don't know that Square knew what they were getting into.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
fair.
the campaign's
That's a fair
really
point.
good, though. I just
Campaign
think
is good.
The live service model is weak, as it almost always is for first-time live service developers, and also the first year is always the roughest. So it has a lot of the same conversations you hear about teams that are doing live service for the first time, which I actually think it wasn't as bad as some of the disasters. I mean, it didn't go full Anthem on us in the first year. So just saying. It was a good base game with a bad live service model, which is sort of the industry standard on live service.
Fair point.
Yeah. Gecko Gamer said he gets dead inside vibes with Crystal Dynamics.
Interesting.
I'm neither here nor there. I think they've shown that they are a talented studio. I am interested to see. I think between whatever they're doing on Perfect Dark, that's kind of a weird structure that we've talked about to begin with.
Perfect Dark isn't real.
Several of the high level Avengers people are now on Perfect Dark.
It's not real.
From the form, like the old Avengers team.
It's
just wait till next year, Hogue. Just wait till next year.
I do actually like that from Microsoft because I do spend a lot of time defending them vis-a-vis law, and so people think I'm an inordinate Microsoft fan, and I'm like, man, they had a year to forget, and they feel like the Detroit Lions every time they say it's next year, be good. Or if you're more into Chicago area, they sound like the Cubs up until a few years back. Always, it's next year. All right, go nail it, Xbox.
We shall see. All right. Let's start talking through 2022, guys. So what we're going to do for anyone listening is we're going to Anthem is coming back. I just saw that comment. 2022, we're going to go month by month here and just a recap of the kind of major releases. Obviously, you know, it's tough to touch on all the games that release, but we can talk about some games that we've kind of forgotten, some games that we love that might have forgotten even released this year. It's been a long year, a lot of different games. So let's do it, guys. So in January, we got Monster Hunter Rise for the Switch, which we now know is coming to the other consoles
Game
next
Pass,
year, and Game Pass. Yep.
No, wait a minute. Rise was already out on this. Was already out last year.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait,
Game Pass.
no.
I'm sorry. No, Rise isn't on. It's on the Switch.
No, he's arguing that Rise came out a different year. I think that's incorrect. Hogue.
Rise came out April in 2021.
I think, but what you're talking about is the DLC, right, Ains? The expansion that came out this year.
Maybe
Because I played their expansion.
Yeah,
I previewed it
Sunbreak,
before it was
right?
out. There we go.
You might be talking about the PC release. That might have
Yeah, it might have been the PC release. Sorry if I mixed that up. Apologies.
That's okay. I just know I was playing it during March Madness of April of last year.
Gotcha.
I think we need to include expansions on here for sure because I want to talk about Forza Horizons.
That's on here. I got that.
Okay,
We'll get there.
cool.
We'll get there.
Sure.
Rainbow Six Extraction. How about that game?
That's on my list of forgotten games this year.
I like Extraction. Extraction was fun.
But I don't think anyone played it.
Playing that one, yeah.
I don't think anyone played. That was on my dead games for this year.
Forgotten games, not dead games.
Sorry,
like
fair
Gem.
point.
It's dead.
Extraction doesn't need a big. It doesn't need a big audience, so you can play Extraction with you and your buddy, so it can survive things that other games perhaps cannot.
Would you put it as a gem next to like Aliens Fireteam Elite? Or
I think Extraction is much better than the Aliens game I played.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
think I have more fun with
They had a
Aliens.
lot of good ideas.
Yeah, I have more fun. I think because of the Aliens is Aliens.
The IP.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, Extraction is kind of dumb in terms of you're fighting whatever mold monsters, but it's got a lot of good ideas. I really liked having people get stuck in places and not getting them out, and then having to go do rescue missions. I thought that there were a number of clever bits in Extraction.
Cool.
That's fair.
Cool. Artful Escape was a game that came out. Annapurna game was on Game Pass. Kind of got some popularity. It's a fun game.
No, wait a minute, that was last year too.
Am I?
That was up for art. That was up for art.
What list did I use? You
Yeah.
sure?
Yeah, it was up for art direction at Game Awards last year.
Yeah, I feel like it was out. I think you might be doing PC releases or Switch releases or something.
Could be.
Yeah, maybe. Sorry. And then Pokemon Arceus, which I know.
Yeah,
Arceus, which I know you guys enjoyed. So sorry about my mix up with the PC releases or other releases. I might have screwed this up a little bit. All right. So that was January. February was a.
You told me I could pause you when you forget things that I liked.
Please go ahead.
We talked about this in the pre-show. I'm not just being an ass.
This is in January.
So January releases a game called Nobody Saves the World. And I really enjoyed this one. It's got some
have that on here. I used a screwed up list.
It got nominated.
I have Nobody Saves the World in April.
Yeah, your list is off, bud.
Yeah, Nobody Saves the World comes out in January.
It came out in January and it was nominated at the Game Awards.
Yeah, I just don't think enough people talked about it because I think it's got some really nice ideas evolving into the different powers and things. And it plays out as kind of a silly, superficial dungeon romp for the most part. But it's a very well put together game. And I enjoyed it thoroughly twice. Like I went back to it 6 months later when they released like just a smallish DLC. And just think it's a really much like Sonic Frontiers, as Luke described it. It's just a nice game to pop into and just kill some things and have a good time. So I do want to mention that because I don't know that a lot of people talk about it very often, but I really like that one. And that's from like what, Juicebox?
Yeah, from Guacamole fame.
Guacamole, goated game.
Great games. Yeah. I really like Nobody Saves the World. It's one of those I put a few hours into and stopped. I played the demo because they had like a beta or a demo for it beforehand too, which I really enjoyed. But I know a lot of people, especially in the season gaming arena, because a bunch of our contributors really love just the indie scene. That's where they play a lot of their games.
Dan, most notably.
Except for Dan. But they talk about Nobody Saves the World right up there with their favorite games of the year.
It is for me. I really like Nobody Saves the World.
Yeah, cool.
that
Someone
on
said
my
April
to-play
was the Switch port, so yeah, I'm just mixing up the actual platform releases. Apologies there. February was a monster month in terms of game releases. So let me read through these. You can tell me which ones I screwed up again and tell me what I forgot. But so we had Dying Light 2. We had
Fun.
I'm gonna so let me go through these and then we'll talk about them. So Dying Light 2, Sifu, Travis's Game of the Year, Crossfire X, the new gen Cyberpunk 2077 update. We had Horizon Forbidden West, Destiny's Witch Queen, Martha is Dead horror game, and then of course the only game that matters this year, Elden Ring.
As a racing guy, Ains, do you not include Grid Legends on this?
I was going to ask that same question.
I like Grid Legends.
Okay, yeah, I did play it. I tend to lean heavily into the sim racers more than the arcade ones.
Okay.
Yeah,
I leave that to you because Grid Legends is one that I played and I liked, and then it just I don't think about it anymore. But you're the racing guy to me.
yeah. No, I did not play Grid Legends. So go ahead, Luke. Sorry.
Well, no, I was gonna say I had that on my forgotten games list. I did not play it, but same thing. It's Grid, and I was wondering if people thought about, cared about it, factored it in, because it does feel like that game came and went. And then Codemasters went through some changes, I think, later in the year. If I'm correct on that, maybe?
I think you are.
Yeah. Codemasters is now owned by EA, and they also their main game is F1, which they make every year.
I think Grid Legends is nice. It has a 90s style full motion video adventure mode, which I'm going to play. So that was fun. Movies. I think it's a nice little game. I think Forza sucks out the oxygen from the Microsoft ecosystem, whether it's Horizon or mainline. And then I think Gran Turismo is like a month away. So I mean, I just don't think there was a lot of oxygen for that particular game. But I liked it. It's fun. It's an arcade racer.
Yeah.
Great.
Dying Light 2 for me was one that one of my biggest disappointments this year.
Disappointment.
Really?
I was very, very excited for that game. It was a long time coming, as you guys know. That game was in development forever.
I saw it at E3 like 2 or 3 years in a row.
Yeah, it won awards at 2019's E3, and I think we talked about
less time than Dead Island 2.
Well, yeah. But I bought the collector's edition for it, which wasn't worth the money, and I put, I don't know how much time, not a ton of time into it, to be fair to the game. I haven't put a ton of time into it, but it just didn't grab me at all.
I like it better than the first one.
Me too.
Okay.
And I said so in my review. I reviewed Dying Light 2 this year. So actually on the list of February games, Dying Light 2, Crossfire X, and Destiny Witch Queen, I reviewed 3 games in February, which is cool. Also, shout out to
the clear winner.
Yeah, clearly. Also, shout out to Windjammers 2, a Switch game that I reviewed in January. I think that came out on the 20th or something like that of January.
It's not bad.
Yeah, pretty good slate. So yeah, Dying Light 2, my thought was I probably would have ended up where you are, Ains, and not had time for it unless I was reviewing it. But I'm really glad I reviewed it because that game ends up being pretty good, despite some bugs and glitches and that sort of thing. It was in development hell, and I think it's pretty clear when you play the game. You're like, all right, yeah, this game went through some changes, and I also couldn't get the E3 demos out of my head because they were award-winning like demos, like best E3 showcase, right? And I remember seeing it. A lot of that ended up not making it into the game at all, so it was kind of interesting seeing that. So yeah, that was good. Crossfire X is a terrible game. Nobody should be forced to play that. And Destiny the Witch Queen, better than Destiny has been in the past, which is great. So I reviewed some good games in February.
Dying Light also got I think it got a performance upgrade halfway through the year, which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, and it was getting like a million. So I'll say this: that developer is dedicated to like their games. They always go back and fix them up, and so it got a ton of content released. It got a ton of patches. Even that first month, it was getting a bunch of patches. Also, that team's super cool. Like, they were very like hands-on during the review process. Like played with the reviewers, like just like hopped on the multiplayer sessions and chatted them up. So it was a cool experience.
I just want to add that
go ahead.
I just want to add that I very much enjoyed Dying Light 2, despite eventually just skipping the massive amounts of story because the gameplay was such a good time. There was just so much dialogue in there that like, and Ains, I know our joke is that I don't like dialogue. No, like I was in on that game for a good while, but after hour like 15 or 20, I was like, oh, skipping. But I was fortunate enough to have them on XEP at one point, and to Travis's statement, they are great people that care about their game, and they will support it for years. Before the Dying Light 1 was still getting content as of a few months ago, and that's just wild to me, all things considered. And so like I really like that game, and I think it's the kind of game you're going to get on a deep sale pretty regularly, and anybody that's got a passive interest should absolutely take the plunge and give it a shot. It's fun. It's real fun.
Cool. I'll go back to it. I'll play it in my bakery. Should be a good time.
Yeah, for sure. I love this list of games Ames said he's gonna play that we know he's not. It's fantastic. Sifu, not a fighting game.
I reviewed Sifu. It's a great game. Excellent game.
Not a fighting game. It's a good game.
It's not a fighting game.
But it's
a
kind
great
of
game.
fighting game.
You fight
in the game.
Right? No, and I know you're making fun of the Game Awards, and I agree with that. Anytime you can make fun of the Game Awards is okay by me. But it comes down to what we were talking about with like role playing last week, which is, I mean, it's definitely a fighting game. If you're not a video game player and you say, "What are you doing in this game?" I mean, you're fighting people. But it is.
Double Dragon is my favorite fighting game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Double Dragon. Sure, Streets of Rage.
River City Ransom.
Yeah, exactly. Fighting game RPG with River City Ransom.
Ooh, yeah.
Just to really make things
Arkham City fighting game.
Sure, fighting game. What's not?
All RPGs.
You fight in every game.
But yeah, I love Sifu actually. In fact, funny enough, I think I was right about to get the platinum, and I just couldn't be bothered. That's how much I care about trophies. I have one left, and it's just that. But yeah, Forbidden West. I feel like Horizon got Horizoned again with Forbidden West, where it is from all accounts, and you, Hogue, and Dan, and many other people, never mind the critic rating of it, is an excellent game, and it just seems like it's just gotten generally forgotten again.
Yeah, well, I mean, it got Breath of the Wild and Elden Rings, two games based on very similar principles and very similar kind of scope and type, coming out a week after the Horizon release. So, I mean, it happened again to Guerrilla Games. But Horizon, I've talked about it. We've talked about it. I think it's a pretty significantly better game than God of War. And just by recency or whatever, the attachment to Kratos or anything else, got overlooked this year pretty hard.
Yeah, it did. I think it was born to be overlooked. Although I remember that game had so much like love for it the first 2 weeks it was out. All I was saying was my timeline was just posts of people loving the facial animations. Remember everybody was posting about that, all the expressions and stuff. So it's a cool game
with her. Yeah, it's one I'm getting to.
Horizon's good.
I got to get to that one. And of course, the Cyberpunk update, I think kind of rejuvenated a lot of people or getting people. I think Luke, correct me if I'm wrong, you finally played it because of that update. So did Joe, I know. So.
I bought it because of the update, played it during the summer. I think by the time 1.6 was out. So that was 1.5, I believe. I think that's the right number.
I think you're right.
But like I bought it because they had a wonderful dev stream where they talked about all the things that they had done. And it was passion can be an overused word when talking about creators sometimes, but it was the passion that they showed and the love and care they'd put into the game, because they were really, really screwed over by their PR and their studio heads discussing that game at launch and some of the promises that they made. But the people that were working on it were so endearing in that stream. I was like, yep, I'm in, buying it. And then having played it at 1.6, really enjoyed my time. And right now it's on sale. Right now, I think on Xbox, the countdown sale, I'm sure it's on sale on PlayStation. Yeah. And I would say anybody should be checking that out. $30 is a steal for that game. And it's a wonderful prep for the Phantom Liberty update and what they're doing with that universe. So
fair. Yeah, because Edge Runners you can watch obviously on Netflix too, which seems to be pretty beloved. By the way, get to the super chat. I was
Yeah, sorry. I was gonna say before we stepped off Cyberpunk, it's still on my list of games I'm gonna finish this year.
What would you
It
like?
actually is.
What would you
I'm
like
going-
from my bakery, Travis?
Yeah, no, this one
What can
though,
I get you?
I'm more than halfway through the game. I think I'm like 60-70% through the game. So I actually stand a good chance of beating Cyberpunk.
You're
That's
doing
actually
better
pretty
than me.
funny for you, Travis, because it's not a super long. It's not a Witcher type game.
It isn't. It's just I
It
have
was
to
to
do
me.
everything because I'm an idiot. Yeah, I'm doing like an Ains playthrough on this game for some
Yep,
Yeah,
to
I
do
did
like
130 hour playthrough. Hope.
In Cyberpunk? What is
Yeah.
that, 90 hours and nothing? Like doing the cop wire things?
Dude, I'm
Thank
probably
you.
at least
There's
60
a lot of
hours
stuff in that
in.
world, Pogue.
You
There's
could
a lot
finish
of
the
stuff in
game.
that
Now
world.
I find myself now I'm mostly mainlining the main story. So I think I'll be done pretty quick with that.
Hogue and I have been in step sync today because I was telling Ains on Cast Co-op perhaps 2 episodes ago that I really like Cyberpunk's world, but it's very lackluster in terms of things to do.
It's empty-ish, and it didn't have to be that way. And coming from the company that made Witcher, it's noticeable. That's one of the things that makes me the most sad about Cyberpunk. I love Night City. Night City's amazing. But, and NYPD joints or whatever they're called, and go and do this stupid thing, which is the same thing as the last stupid thing. It's just a different warehouse. It's like, okay.
Yep.
A lot easier to do it when you're in a fantasy world with lots of open areas. It feels less empty than if you're in a city and you have to make it dense and it can't just be a bunch of bandit groups. I honestly think it suffers from setting a lot. So the two things, like if I were being a critic on that game, I would say like the setting and the first person perspective are like the two like big hurdles.
I think first person is a mistake.
Yeah, I think that was a big mistake too for the world.
Agree.
So.
But but to me, Witcher never tries to sell like Bandit Camp Over the Rise as like big piece of content. You want to go take out some bandits, go nuts. Like it is the only content in Night City is to go into a warehouse and blow up some bandits.
There's side quests throughout.
There's like
in the same way there are.
There's like 6 side quests in Cyberpunk that are decent at the level of The Witcher. I mean, really.
I don't think any of them are at the level of The Witcher, but I've played them, and a lot of them I'm like, dude, this is so long. Like I did like one quest line where it was like 4 or 5 quests in a row, and I ended up spending like 12 hours on it, and I was just like, Jesus, dude, this game. That's why it's taking me so long. I'm like 60 hours in. I'm still not done with it.
There are a lot of things you can find. Now, I'm not going to debate that The Witcher does it better. It just does. I mean, point blank. And I'm over 30 hours into my new Witcher playthrough on this update, and it's clear why we all celebrate that game so much. I mean, it's just amazing.
I'm always impressed by how the economy works in Witcher, because I think games really, really suck at that, keeping you motivated and invested and getting whatever the next piece of tech is or diagram or money. And Witcher always keeps you right on that line of I am a poor Witcher. And it's like it's just really brilliantly done and really hard to do.
Yeah, one of my biggest pet peeves in gaming is when you can get a lot of money and there's nothing to buy in the world, and money just becomes a useless currency. Witcher doesn't do that at all, dude. Sometimes you feel like you're rich and then you go to buy something or craft something and you're like, oh my god, I am so broke. Remember that time the tax guy came because I was turning those clams into pearls? Did you guys have that happen to you in The Witcher?
No,
it's been too long.
Oh my god, there was an exploit in The Witcher where you could buy clams and then you could dismantle the clams and find pearls inside of them.
Yeah, you can get the pearls.
You turn like small amount into a lot of money, and I just did that a ton and got like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of gold. And then they did a patch where a like IRS dwarf shows up to like audit you and is like, hey, did you buy any clams from this year to this year? And my Witcher lied because I did not want to get taxed for all of the money that I'd made. So that was a very interesting little DLC there.
I love that.
There are a lot of things in that game that just pop up that are brilliantly done. It's just incredible. I mean, that's all there is to it. I was going to say, I was getting to Gecko's super chat here. €6 super chat. Part of me still thinks the Hogwarts will cyberpunk. I was saving that for this conversation on Cyberpunk. We got The Witcher, but part of the announcement this week that we didn't say is that they've delayed the Switch, Xbox One, and PS4 versions to later in the year. I think for that very reason.
Cancel them.
Yep.
Yeah. Cancel everything last gen.
The combat still makes me a little worried.
Don't go to Hogwarts Legacy for the combat. It's an
exploration
game.
But you're going to have to do it, and like when you do it, I'm going to be sad if it's literally just like you making people float. Also, you really casually use the killing curse. Have you guys see that?
I saw the gameplay demonstration.
You like sling killing curses at people as like a teenager,
Sweet.
which I'm like, whoa, that's hardcore. Anyway, I'm very excited about that game, but also super nervous it's not going to be good, as I am with every game that I'm hopeful will be good.
I do agree with Hogue. I'm not going to Hogwarts for the combat at all.
Yeah,
like
no,
I'm going for the world.
And this is one of those areas where I think you could have gone turn-based, and you don't want to because of the checkboxes, but it might have worked better to be a slightly more strategic version of this kind of thing. But we haven't played it yet, so we don't know what the action will be. I really think it's just kind of you want to go back to Witcher. It's like you play Witcher. I really like Witcher, but you're not really there for the pirouetting sword swinging for the most part. There's some enjoyment there, but it's not really why The Witcher is as successful as it is. And I think Hogwarts, its best chance of success is to go in the same direction. Narrative everywhere, exploration everywhere, put you in the shoes of a Hogwarts student everywhere, and then interaction points where you have conflict, but it's not really why you bought the ticket.
Well,
yep, I do.
It depends how much they make you do. Because there's lots of games where I don't get it for the combat, but if they make you do it, it has to be engaging to some extent. And if they make you do it a lot, it has to be more engaging. So I'm just worried how much of that game, when you say exploration, I think exploration, but also broken up by like lots of combat, right? Because you turn a corner and you find something, you have to fight.
If it's a GTA type game or a bully type game, however you want to think about this, Rockstar has always had pretty ass combat. Just straight up. So, I mean, like, if you're focused on doing something that is outside of combat, I think that they're going to be able to succeed. You are absolutely right, Travis. If they just built dungeon after dungeon of you hitting the X button to make goblins float or whatever, it's going to be lame.
Oh, God. Please, no.
I'm really worried about that.
Please, no. But we'll see. Gecko, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. But, yeah, we'll know soon. I mean, that game's February 10th. So as we're sitting here right now, it's less than 2 months away. So it's, it's not far. Coming soon. I won't talk about Elden Ring. We've done that all year long.
This is a first.
For me, it is a runaway game of the year. Like there's not even a ballpark or universe where this is not game of the year. But I've said that 10 times over. So
probably also my game of the year, by the way, Ans.
Yep, and I agree with you as well. I thought Ragnarok might have been it. Not even close.
Yeah,
I would be the naysayer.
I want to be the naysayer too.
But we kind of knew that going in, Hogue. Like,
yeah,
I like Elden Ring. No, I will vouch for Elden Ring being a good game. It's certainly not. Soulsborne is not where my happiest memories live. But Immortality is so special as a narrative to me that I think it needs to be celebrated more.
Fair.
Yeah,
fair.
I really, really loved that game. I almost forgot that it happened to me. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But I'm also in your camp, Hogue. Like I kind of want to be the naysayer and be like, oh well, what other game did I play better? But when it comes down to it, it's like that game was just damn fantastic.
So, to me, 2022. I know we're going to get into these other months, but to me, it's really been the year of tactical strategy games. I mean, it has just been an absolute fantastic last 3 months of the year. With Mario and Rabbids, which I know we'll talk about, with Tactics Ogre Reborn, which we might not, with Midnight
I got it on
Suns,
here. I got it on here.
With Midnight Suns, with the remake of Front Mission first. I mean, it's just been a solid 60 days of, do you like moving things around boxes? Are you over boxes? We can still handle you. And having a good time with Tactics. So I just
Gamefire said, but is it an RPG? And I refuse to answer that question. We're just going to move on. I will say,
we did that last week.
I told this story before, but I just want to do shout out to Miles over at Windows Central, Miles Dompier. We reviewed Elden Ring at the same time before release, and him and I were DMing each other because there was obviously no guides, no YouTube videos, nothing about the game yet. And you know how big that game is. And it was one of my favorite experiences of the year. And I've enjoyed it when we've done it as well, Travis, when you kind of have a review buddy, when you're playing a game pre-release and you're just chatting with a friend who's also playing it, for review and kind of sharing thoughts. And doing that for Elden Ring with Miles was really, really cool. And it was just a lot of fun for that week and a half or 2 weeks playing that game and talking about how special it was. It's cool.
I also want to clarify that while I was reviewing Dying Light 2 and Destiny the Witch Queen and all the stuff I reviewed in February, I also somehow beat Elden Ring. which like blows my mind because I think about that. I'm like, how did I find time for that? I was doing all these other reviews. Like Dying Light 2 was like a 60-hour game or something. And I remember like after I was done with Destiny, I was like, all right, guys, Elden Ring all day, every day. It's all I think about. And I got through that game. I have no idea how.
Go watch the videos. It's Travis being like, oh, I got to a dragon and that dragon was nothing. It was like, this game ain't even hard.
That's true.
Going
I
through the
basically
first
didn't
4
buy it.
levels.
Yeah.
Elden Ring's not hard.
It's not really hard.
That's a very unfair statement. It is the most accessible of the Soulsborne. It does a terrible job onboarding people, and it's as difficult or as easy as you would like it to be, depending on how much time you want to invest in grinding. But it's not fair to say it's not hard. I don't think that's fair.
I think you kind of said it in a roundabout way, which is the game gives you everything you need to succeed. You need to use it.
As long as you have an infinite amount of time, yes.
Well, I don't think time is a fair dictator of difficulty.
Well, do you think roguelikes are hard just because you die a lot? Because like they're also designed for you to eventually like inevitably overcome them. And I think Elden Ring is similar. Like if you
are different because you're building builds, right? Roguelikes are you're figuring out what builds work for you, and some are crap and some are good. Elden Ring is you best figure out how to parry that bird monster, or you're not going to make it past this parapet.
That's not true at all. You can get through like you can basically just grind until you have so much DPS or can cast spells that can just like one-shot bosses. Like there's crazy stuff in that game. It's just you have to, if you're not good, you have to play a lot more, which is,
boring. Which is boring.
I didn't have
what you're looking for.
It is boring. Yeah, it's boring. I'll give you that.
It's not boring to me.
If you didn't,
well, I mean, that's because you don't die
constantly in front of the castle.
Yeah, you can't really speak to it, Ains, because you don't have difficulty with the game. If you were just dying over and over and over again and not really making progress, you'd probably be a lot more.
Yeah, no, I think what I meant by that statement was I think part of what makes that game special for me, take away the difficulty, right? Is just exploring and leveling your character and figuring things out, right? Like that's part of the fun for me. It may not be part of the fun for other people, which is fine, but I think Hogue, you're saying like it takes time and it can be boring. And what I was saying is for me, taking the time and doing those things and exploring and leveling is part of the fun for me.
I like the open field stuff. I do. I don't like the Soulsborne levels, right? So I like the open fields in Elden Ring. I didn't like that first castle.
I got you. Okay.
I didn't like the cave. I like the open field stuff. And yeah, you get the most opportunity to be like, nope. I can't do this right now. Like I did the dragon, and when Travis was like, I don't know, I had a dagger, and that dragon went down like that's Travis's video is just like, what are you even talking about, Hogue? I killed that dragon with a toothpick and will.
Basically.
Sorry, I
am a tryhard. I am a tryhard, so I basically just like parried everything and then countered it and just blew through the game. So, but also the other
someone
thing
that has beaten the entire game not taking a hit. There's someone that's beaten the whole game with a dance
but
that's
you can't count the outliers. That's because there's something.
No.
Like
what I'm saying,
people enjoying it
again. What I'm saying is it's designed in a way to where the mechanics and the tools it gives you are everything you need to make the game easier. It's whether you want to learn them and do it.
You can beat Elden Ring without ever getting better at the game. You can retain your current skill level and get through it, especially if you're playing with multiplayer. If you're playing multiplayer, you can basically just be along for the ride and roll through the entire game. So that's the distinction for me. But anyway, like Ain said, we're not going to talk about Elden
Ring. Welcome to the not Elden Ring chat for 5 minutes. Let's move over. February was a huge month, and I remember us talking about that at the time, like a lot of huge releases. So let's move over to March, where we got let me run through this list. You guys can tell me if I screwed up again. Shadow Warrior 3, we got Gran Turismo 7, we got the legendary Babylon's Fall. Is that one guy still playing that game? Triangle Strategy. We got update to Grand Theft Auto 5. We got Tunic. We got Stranger of Paradise. I put that in for Hogue. Norco, The Ascent, Ghostwire Tokyo, which is on our cover this week because I feel that's a big game that people forgot about. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands and Weird West, which I reviewed, so I just threw it on there. So another pretty big month, really.
This year,
Weird West was in March. I feel like
this year seems so long and so short simultaneously.
Yeah.
When you name these games, it's like
that's why I'm doing it, because I think it's fun to kind of reflect on how long ago.
Tiny Tina's Wonderland feels like it was 3 years ago, and Weird West feels like it was like last week. Like that's it's so crazy to me. Like because I feel like Hogue, you and I were talking about Weird West for a while, and then it came out and we were talking about it.
Yeah, I said I really like that that design because Weird West is made by somebody that came off of, I want to say, like Arcane. It's like a breakaway group from Arcane. Is that right? Does that
it's
sound
my
right?
buddy in Austin, Texas, the guy
Okay.
that I know.
Yeah, and so I played through it. I played through the first. So it's done like a series of vignettes. I played through the first story, and then said I would come back to it, and have not. This is one of the things that I do. But
Xenoblade says hi.
Xenoblade has 58 hours in it. It can wait. I'm going to play more Xenoblade. Really enjoy Xenoblade, but it's not like I didn't give it the old college try.
I'll get him a pastry ready, Travis.
Thank you. Yeah.
Please do. Please do. But no,
He's not coming back.
To me, from that month that you mentioned, Triangle Strategy is by far the one that I played the most. Like I said, it's a year of strategy games for me. And that's the one I really liked. It is an acquired taste because it will just run a dialogue cutscene for 45 minutes at you. The Triangle Strategy will. But it's good. You mentioned Stranger Paradise. I quite like Stranger Paradise. It is junky as all heck, but it is a lot of fun. And I actually never got to. I think they had a DLC later on in the year that I never got to. But no, I think the games you listed are interesting. You neglected Elix, but everybody does.
Elix too.
Sorry, but I was going to say, by the way, just to be clear, because there's multiple West games. Weird West was March. Evil West was the one that came out like 2-3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I just remember Hogue being on the show, and I told him that I knew Lucas, the lead writer on
Weird
West.
West.
I watched a GDC
Weird
video from him, I think, where he
you
talked about
did.
narrative design.
Yeah, you talked about it. And I was like, oh, I know that guy, and then
I really liked Weird West. I reviewed it. I liked it.
It's really good. I didn't
solid.
play nearly enough of it. I'm going to talk about the games I reviewed in March. Which one of them's a DLC for Far Cry 6? Okay, whatever. Anyway,
well, that is some of your most hardcore comments. That is my favorite comments from
for sure. People are somehow into the main Joseph C, the main bad guy in Far Cry 5, and I was like, really? There were like a bunch of stands in the comments, like upset that saying he was a really well written character, and I was like, no, I hated him. He kind of sucked. Anyway, I reviewed Tiny Tina's Wonderland in March. That was the main thing I played. That was the big one.
I reviewed that
I would
too.
say is almost like were we review buddies, or had I finished it and then you reviewed it after it came out? I feel like that happened, right? Because I don't remember playing.
I think you're right. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, that game I feel like is almost a forgotten game because it came out. It was a great game, and not a lot of people played it. I think it was because it got lost in the Elden Ring glow. It was still people were basking in that whole thing. But that was one for me that I think was great, and unfortunately not a lot of people played. Another one for me that is truly a forgotten game, and I mean this even by my own standard, is Shadow Warrior 3, which the 2013 Shadow Warrior is a hidden gem. It like you play it and you think that game is going to suck, and then the writing is so like good, and then it gets dramatic at the end. It like turns on you. That game has so much heart. It's like ridiculously good. And then I played Shadow Warrior 2 with priority because I was like, Shadow Warrior 1 was just so fantastic. Shadow Warrior 3 came out and I literally don't even remember it coming out. So that is crazy because those games, I would have made time for them other years, which is crazy. It must have come out real close to Elden Ring. Yeah.
It did come out close to Elden Ring. Came out at a bad time, and it came out without PS5 and Series console enhancements. Which is weird in 2022, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, those developers, I think it's Flying Hog or whatever, they make Flying Hog, they make like PC first games. No, the people that made Shadow Warrior 3. I think it's
Flying Hog made Evil West. I know it because I keep seeing it on the front of my screen.
God, I cannot remember the studio. They're small.
Could they have released 2 games this year?
Evil West?
Maybe.
Yeah. It is Flying Wild Hog.
Flying Wild Hog is Shadow Warrior. Yeah.
And Evil West.
So yeah, they released 2 games in 1 month, and one of them I would say is a great game, and the other one I literally didn't play, and it makes me sad because that first Shadow Warrior game, seriously, if you haven't played it, Shadow Warrior
Now,
1.
I've played 2. I never played 1.
1 is like really
good.
damn good. It's so good.
So
And
good.
2 sort of is like, you know,
2's the goofy one, right?
It's goofy.
2's
Yeah,
really goofy. Yeah.
1 is
Two went
goofy
a
as
little
well,
too
but it
far.
ends up being like serious and really good. So yeah, I'm very surprised.
Now, Ains, I don't want to call you out because I can't remember the list that you said right at the beginning of March, but did you skip Kirby?
I think I did.
Now,
Yeah.
Kirby's, of course, titled "And the Forgotten Land," which seems apt at this
Yeah,
point.
Kirby
yeah.
and
I
the
was just
Forgotten
paying. I was
Game.
just paying homage to it. That's all.
Yeah, perfect.
We at
National
Hogue House
Ambition.
thoroughly enjoyed Kirby.
Also,
It is a good game.
Can I
I've
just
heard
point
great
out
things.
that
Yeah.
half of Ains's list is the Switch release date, not the real one. And then of the Switch released games, he forgot like the games itself. So it's kind of a weird collection of
Well, I had on my
errors.
list of things Kirby. I'm not even sure. I don't even know when to mention this because I don't know when it came out. I don't have a list separately, and I'm sure it won't be on Ains's. But one of my favorite games of the year, which I think is out by now, in terms of where we're talking about, March, is the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
No, I have that. I have it.
Okay, when does that come
That was
out?
April. It was April. Next
All right,
month.
thank
Great
you.
game.
We'll talk about it when we get to
Because
April.
I know
played
you
that
love
one
it,
as
so I
well.
made sure to put that on here.
I played that one, Hogue. Great
Did-
game. I know we never talked about it on the show.
Put that
I
in front
really
of your
like it.
fiance. She'll love it.
She actually did, and she had never played the first one, so she
All right,
was
well,
like,
Mention
What
to
the
her
hell?
that Hogue recommended it. Well, yeah, I need to get my cash.
right, yeah, you need to get your clout up with her. She's
Go ahead,
she's a
Luke.
little-
Well, I'm thinking, where's Trek to Yomi?
That's April.
That's April.
I did skip that on my list, by the way. I saw.
Okay, cool. Yeah, when I wonder if I did my list differently because I didn't go through every single one. I just picked ones I thought were forgotten. I don't
Sure.
know that, and not to beat the horse because I agree with you about Shadow Warrior and several others. Ghostwire Tokyo, I feel like was gone pretty quickly. But
I want to talk
Fortunately,
about that.
it's a good game.
Ains, I'm curious because you've corrected me on this before, but I have said at least once in our conversations that nobody cares about Gran Turismo 7 anymore. And you've corrected me and said, like, no,
Mhm.
it's just that they're in a very different realm of discussion.
Yep.
I would have put Gran Turismo 7 in the forgotten list all day long. I don't even remember seeing them.
I
at the
haven't
Gran-
spoken about March yet. So yeah,
Okay, well,
I want to talk about Gran Turismo and Ghostwire.
Did it even get a Game of the Year nomination? Because at the very least, Horizon, I'm thinking about PS exclusive, Horizon existed, and I was able to know that it existed.
Gran Turismo won.
I'm not a
Best
Horizon.
Racing
I
and
did not
sports
enjoy it.
game.
Did it? Okay, gotcha. I just don't even remember that at all. So that's why I was curious if it was just me or if not.
So from speaking purely from what I see from kind of the car community who races, who plays these games, right? Gran Turismo launched mixed, and what I mean by that is it from a dynamic standpoint, the car feel, the PS5 implementation was pretty solid. The problems with Gran Turismo at launch were kind of multifold. The economy in the game was a mess. Some of the online stuff was messed up. The microtransaction aspect of purchasing cars was messy. They hid cars behind this premier auto shop in the car, which cars like legendary cars, like car guys like me love to own in these games, you couldn't get, or you would have to work like an absurd amount of hours of playtime to get. So it kind of launched in this mixed degree where it's like, yes, this is a great Gran Turismo game, but all these aspects of it that you know and love about racing games are screwy. Now they've done a good job through the year of updating it. From what I understand, I haven't put a lot of extra time into it. But they fixed some of the monetization stuff. They've added a bunch of cars. They fixed some of the online play. It still has its pro series that's going on right now. They had a pro race last week. It was on my YouTube feed. So I think it did fine, but it just didn't have that blow everyone away feel that you would hope Gran Turismo 7 would have had. I think that's probably the fairest way I can say it.
Gotcha.
Oh, and to Real Radic, who just posted, yeah, you couldn't even sell your cars. Like that wasn't a feature until this latest update. They just added the ability to sell your cars to get money back.
That's crazy.
So
I still resent them for not putting dirt tires on the dirt license tests.
Oh
until
my
their
God.
first patch.
I had to erase that from my memory, Hogue. I spent like 4 hours one day doing a license test on one of the dirt ones. And I'm like, why can't I beat this thing? And then you find out they screwed it up and they put race tires on the dirt cars.
First time.
and as soon as you could put dirt tires on, I beat it on the first try.
Yep,
I'm
that was the same as me. Go first try. It's like, oh, you guys suck.
Yeah,
God,
that's unfortunate. Also, earning those licenses, literally how I learned to drive in real life. I swear to God, the old PlayStation 2 games. That's how I learned to drive. Gran Turismo. Go to.
So that's Gran Turismo. I think Ghostwire, I put it as our cover game because I feel like this was a game where it, from Tango, where you thought, okay, they're coming off of Evil Within. This could be a big new horror IP for them. Had this PlayStation exclusive, 1-year deal, as we know. And I think it landed, it reviewed kind of, I'd say above average. I think it was like mid 70s, something, high 70s.
Goodish.
Yeah, goodish. And I know we talked about it at release, Hogue. I really enjoyed my time with that game. It got a little repetitive, it got a little here and there, but I think generally speaking, I enjoyed it. And I love the authentic Japanese lore they put into the game with like kind of the history of things. I love that. But I mean, that game, anecdotally, in my feed and my circles, just disappeared. I mean, after like 3 weeks after release, I have not heard about that game since.
Yeah, well, of course, it's stuck
crazy.
between licensees, right? So neither Sony nor Xbox had a lot of incentive to keep it in your mind space for very long. But I think it was a good game that is very similarly structured to a lot of other games we've played. It's got a very UB approach to kind of the open world game design. I think it's got a great vibe. The combat is clunky-ish after a time, and so I think it's just not going to connect super well with a lot of people. But I like it. Ghostwire is probably one of my favorite games of the year, but primarily for that vibe. Reading through the indices of how these ghosts with the umbrellas work and how everything else kind of does come from Japanese lore. But yeah, it just didn't have any staying power. I agree.
Gotcha. Yeah. While we were chatting too, Luke, I was looking up to see if I could find anything on Gran Turismo in terms of like market impact, as we talked about.
Right.
So it's that the all-time launch dollar sales record for Gran Turismo as an IP. So the best-selling kind of Gran Turismo of all time, and it was second place in all of March, only behind Elden Ring.
Wow. Okay.
So-
See, that's great to hear, because when you tell me about forgotten games, could not have remembered.
Yeah, it's
less.
just it's one that has its audience that is the racing Gran Turismo audience, and it's a big audience, but it's not. It's like it feels like a different circle than the groups we normally talk with. It's kind of strange.
Yeah.
So, and I'll just go back and echo what Travis said about Tiny Tina's fantastic game. I love that game. Such a fun game to play. Well designed systems.
And it's got good humor, which is nice to see.
It does.
It doesn't have enough in gaming.
Yeah. April.
Very different type of humor as well.
Continue to keep me honest here with these releases. But April, we finally got Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. I added MLB The Show for Dan, of course. That's his game. Stanley Parable, the Ultra Deluxe Edition. One of my favorite games of the year in Rogue Legacy 2.
Great game.
And we got Nintendo Switch Sports as well. I mentioned that because I know that's big in the Hogue house.
We love it.
So that's what I have for April.
Also, Trek to Yomi.
Trek to Yomi.
Let me say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did a written interview for them for
and
seasons.
That's right.
True for also, I believe Trek to Yomi is also flying Wild Hogs. They had a crazy year. Right? Is that correct? Somebody check me on that.
Remember.
Somebody knows.
I don't know.
But yeah, so that would be their third game we talked about in 2 months, which is crazy.
Sorry, I was going to say Luke did a interview with them that we published on Season Gaming, actually, for Trek to Yomi.
The Trek to Yomi folks.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah.
That was a good game.
It was. I thought the art style pushed the expectations beyond what I think the team produced. And I sometimes that's a shame, and it happens sometimes with smaller titles when the art and the expectations go so far beyond what the gameplay allows, and I think that's a bummer because it is a good game. It's fun. It's good. It's just not the tier that I think people were thinking when they saw that level of style.
So
I think
went
Callisto, by the way, same thing.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, so I went into it with no knowledge of that game at all, but I ended up giving it a 7. I reviewed it for the site, and it I'll say it is a game that respects your time. I mean, I was able to get through that, I think, in like 1 or 2 sittings. It's a pretty short game, and I think that is a definitely a pro for me when it has sort of like a great story, but like a very kind of thin gameplay design. So I quite enjoyed that game. It was fun.
Flying Wild Hog was involved in that, along with
Look at
another
that,
studio.
dude. They had they crushed it Q1.
Yeah, big year.
Look at that.
Big year. Yeah. Let me real quick back up on these super chats real quick because funny enough, we had Gecko Gamer, another €2 super chat, said, "Welcome to the season Elden Ring podcast." We tried. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about it, and then we talked about it. You know how that goes with
Just
Elden
a
Ring
little.
around here, Gecko.
It's kind of my
You're
fault.
a regular, Gecko. You know it. You know how that goes. So yeah, I blame Travis. We'll go ahead. And
It
blame
was my
Travis.
fault. I poked the bear a little bit.
But thank you, Gecko. Appreciate you. And then Netwatch, €5 or $5 super chat, excuse me, said, "You guys are going to be missed during the break. Happy holidays to you." Thank
Happy
you, my friend.
holidays to you.
Yes, happy holidays back to you. And yeah, man, I told these guys before, when we take a week off, I actually miss it. I miss chatting games with these guys. So, but thank you. All right. Rogue Legacy 2 I reviewed. One of my highest rated games of the year, actually.
Nice.
Really love that game. I think it's a fantastic roguelite. It builds upon the first game well. It's got great systems, fun art style. The gameplay is tuned to a very high level in terms of dynamics, and how it feels. It's just a fantastic game. It really is. So if you like roguelites and you haven't played Rogue Legacy or Rogue Legacy 2, you're missing out on some of the best ones, bar none.
Shout out to a game I reviewed in April as well. Postal 4 No Regrets, which tied for my lowest reviewed game this year. 2 out of 10. Terrible game. Don't play it. That's all I have to say.
Fair.
April was a tough month for me. I was going through some stuff.
April is the cruelest month.
Yeah.
You got
there was that span where you reviewed Nerf Legends, Crossfire X, and Postal, and that's where you kind of got the reputation from us of you review some terrible games.
That was in a 4-month period. I reviewed those 3 games. So yeah, it's pretty bad.
Dan Stapleton did not enjoy his emails from Travis in those windows of time, I imagine.
He was trying to punish me because I talked shit about XCOM 2, and he never stopped punishing me for that. He gave me a year of bad games. So
talk shit about XCOM 2. That's a pretty beloved game.
I'm joking. I didn't actually do that, but he loves XCOM 2 so much that if I did, he probably would be petty about it.
We moved over to May, a little lighter month, at least on my list. I have not played this, but Citizen Sleeper. I saw that on some lists of the games that are really up there for the year.
Citizen Sleeper is rad.
It's good.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. I've seen people say great things about it. I haven't played it.
I think it's on your Game Pass. I don't know. I never know when things leave. I think it's on your Game Pass.
Okay.
It is on Game Pass.
Okay, cool. Salt and Sacrifice, the follow-up to Salt and Sanctuary, came out.
Terrible naming, folks. I can never remember which one's first.
Yeah.
Yep.
Evil Dead came out. You remember that one?
Yeah. The game.
Yeah.
Hogan and I. That was our first review together.
Great. I played that with you and future Mrs. Travis too.
Yeah, you did. That's right. Did I get you guys both codes? We both just played that, or I know Hogue was in the review with me. Like we were playing that during the review period. I think you might have too.
I don't know. I got it. I got a review code for SG on that one.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. That was cool.
I've said some of my favorite experiences this year are watching Travis analytics the hell out of a game while I'm playing it. It's quite an experience. I recommend it for everyone.
That's cool. Also, Hogue is super fun to play with because he makes MST3K like commentary over whatever game he's playing, which is very good. It's very good.
Funny. High praise there.
That reference.
Mystery Science Theater.
Mystery Science Theater.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. Okay. We also got Roller Champions. You want to talk about forgotten games? Oof.
So I played that game a lot.
Shooting people, is it?
No. Roller Champions.
No, that's Roller Drome.
Yes. So I know this because I covered both of. For this period of time, for whatever reason, Q2 of this year, I was IGN's go-to rollerblading guy. I just covered all
You're in
the
San
rollerblading
Francisco.
games.
Yeah,
there you go. I mean, is rollerblading big here? Not in me. I
have
no relationship. So yeah, they were both actually pretty good. Roller Champions is like a 3v3 game that I played for a while. I didn't review that when I was previewing it, but I had a lot of fun playing it. I thought it was
It's actually
super
a pretty good
well-balanced.
game. It really is.
Pretty,
It just never
it's a
picked
pretty
up
good
an
game.
audience.
It's just one of those games where it's, it has to have an audience to play it, and it didn't immediately catch on. And I feel like that is truly a forgotten game. Roller Drome, which is not in that same month, but I would put it in kind of the same category. Unfortunately, were like both of those games I really liked, and I feel like they probably should have gotten more attention.
And the Drome single player, right? So you don't depend on other people.
Yes,
you don't depend on other people, but still, I feel like a lot of people missed that one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Roller Champions was like, it's an overused comparison, but think of your Rocket League, you're 3-on-3 competitive, got to score, and the mechanics were actually pretty good at it. It's well polished. It's one of those that has to get an audience, and it just doesn't seem to have done that.
I think a game like that, like Rocket League, probably needs to be like the PS Plus game or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, they need to make those deals.
Its biggest sin was that it was a Ubisoft game, honestly, and that it wasn't like available immediately on some platform. They should have partnered with somebody on that one.
Yep.
I think that's how Rocket League worked. I mean, I think that's where it gained. I think that's how
PS
Fall
Plus.
Guys worked.
Fall Guys as well.
Plus, and then later, I think it was in Game Pass. Yeah, that's how they do it. I will say, before we skip Evil Dead, because I know we talked about it, that game really surprised me. What a great game.
It's a good game.
I honestly get nervous anytime I see like a licensed, asynchronous multiplayer game. I'm like, oh god, it's gonna be one of these like kind of poorly thought out. But that game was surprisingly well balanced, has a lot of content. It's super fun being the monster. It's super fun being the survivor. I had a lot of fun with that game.
Well, you reviewed both Evil Dead and Ghostbusters, whatever subtitle for async game, right? You prefer?
And I almost reviewed Dragon Ball: The Breakers too, but I think I was on something.
Is that a similar kind of game?
It's the exact same concept. It's asynchronous, like 5-player multiplayer game, and they're all licensed. I
enjoyed both Evil Dead and the Ghostbusters one, Ains, did the Uden game come out in May? It's around here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean.
Eden Chronicle.
Oh, I did not put that on here. It's somewhere around here. Yes.
So I really like that one. That's kind of one of the weird things that indie companies sometimes do, much like they did with like Bloodstained, where they have a different version of the kind of game in the universe to set you up for it. So the Eden Chronicles is setting up for 100 Heroes, which is kind of the spiritual reboot of Suikoden next year.
Yeah.
And Eden, the one that came out this year, and I can't remember the subtitle.
Rising. I think it's Chronicles Rising.
Rising, yes. Is kind of a 2D RPG, very kind of short-ish, but introduces you to the world, has a lot of pleasant characters and some good graphics, and you build up a village. And that was on Game Pass when I played it first. I don't know if it still is, but I don't know that anybody's talking about that one, so I figured I'd mention it. It's forgotten because I enjoyed
Chronicles Rising. I remember us talking about the title of that one for a while.
Yeah.
Euden is not a word that makes sense to anybody. Chronicle, I guess, says RPG kind of, and then Rising is what are we? Yeah,
it's named for its target audience, I think, is the conclusion we came to. Like, if you like those types of games, you are exactly knowing what you're in for, and if you don't, you're going to be like, "What is this?" and skip over.
Like my sensors go off, and it's like that doesn't make any sense. I must check it out.
Exactly, you're probably going to love it.
So that means next year we get the full game of that plus the
100 Heroes
remakes too.
Yeah, 100 Heroes is slated for next year. Suikoden 1 and 2 remakes from Konami. I said this year was the tactic strategy. Next year might, for me, be the Suikoden year. Because Suikoden is some of my favorite RPGs ever.
Legendary games. Really are. Yep.
Well, what is an RPG? I'm just kidding. We're not doing that.
Stop it.
We're not even in June yet, man.
I know. That's why I said stop it. In May, we also, just to call it out, because I couldn't remember if you reviewed this or not, Travis, but we got Sniper Elite 5.
I did not review it, but I played a lot of it, and that game's awesome. I actually did finish that game. It's really cool. Yeah.
I got to remember
that's an interest in that sports ball match.
Sorry.
I did. I'm so sorry, but the World Cup was just won. So
by whom's?
Argentina in double overtime, PKs, goalkeepers were going nuts. It was pretty cool. And so
Sounds
I apologize.
pretty.
The World Cup was sorted by PKs. I hate freaking PKs.
Hey guys,
PKs are the dumbest thing ever to decide a World Cup. It's stupid.
Sounds like things got a little bit messy.
It went 3-3 in double overtime. That's a pretty great game, man. That's a pretty great game.
Can I talk about soccer penalty kicks? I can't do it.
No, it's terrible.
I understand that. Can I discuss Sniper Elite 5 since you brought it up?
Yeah. Now that you're back with us, Luke.
I apologize, gentlemen. It's just Sniper Elite 5, I thought was a really, really great entry into the Sniper Elite franchise. I really like the Sniper Elite franchise and its spin-off,
underrated.
Zombie Army. Agreed.
Yeah.
I got to interview the director of that game, which was really cool. To get to talk to them after having played their games for so long. But they did some pretty great stuff with invasion mode and making that game fresh, because really and truly, if you go play Sniper Elites 4 and 3 and 2, and you're pretty much playing the same style game, they made that game fresh with 5 in a really cool way. And if memory serves, it dropped into Game Pass.
It did.
And that allowed for an audience that hadn't necessarily been with Sniper Elite, because the others were not day and date. They got to get in on the ground floor with kind of the hype around it in a month where there wasn't a ton truly happening in the Game Pass space, if memory serves. So I was really glad to see that game got its due and did pretty well, all things considered. And lastly, Ains, I do apologize for having to watch. It was double overtime, man. PKs. Sorry. Sorry.
All good. All right. June.
Also,
So
invading as a Nazi, hilarious mechanic. And they should put that in all the other games.
Oh,
Yeah.
in
All the other
Sniper Elite
games,
3 or 5. I
Frontiers,
mean,
you just roll in as a Nazi.
Yeah, I want them to put it in every game. Honestly, it make invasion has never felt more appropriate than when you invade as a Nazi, because you
it
feel
just sounded
what
hilarious.
you're doing.
In a world of clips, Travis, you made that statement.
That's fine. That's fine.
I know.
Let it
I
do.
tried to move on, and he's like, invading as a Nazi.
He's like,
hilarious.
No, I'm Kanyeing this moment. I'm doubling down.
Oh, geez. All right.
I love invading as Nazis.
The Jewish guy.
He does have some plot armor. Come on now.
In June, we got Diablo Immortal, which
Yikes.
Mario Strikers, which is another Travis review. We got The Quarry. We got the new console updates for Resident Evil 2 and 3. Got Neon White, which is all over kind of high list this year. We got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, another great one. We got Fall Guys on console. We got the Cuphead expansion, Delicious Last Course, finally. And we got, well, maybe we did. I might have had the wrong release on this one. The Sunbreak expansion for Monster Hunter Rise. Maybe that was PC. So sorry about that one.
All right. So off the list I'm looking at, I would say that I really enjoyed, in terms of forgotten, just off of the list that you just said, I really enjoyed a game called Card Shark, which takes place during the French Revolution, as you learn to cheat at cards. And then I also quite enjoyed the second AI game, Somnium Files, the Nirvana Initiative, which is a follow-up to AI, the Somnium Files, I believe. They decided to keep the whole title and strap the subtitle for the sequel onto it. But that's a detective game set similarly to like the 999s or the Virtue's Last Reward type games. And it's a good time. It's an acquired taste. It's very Japanese, but I like those. In particular, Card Shark is one that you should check out if you're at all interested in, the French Revolution and card playing.
And the funny thing is, it got like, there are a lot of people I talked to that really enjoyed that game. Like it seemed to be pretty well received, Card Shark.
Well, it basically doesn't have gameplay. It has like little mini games, so I could definitely see people being like, "Well, what am I even playing here?" But it's such a great idea and so unusual. Like this isn't going to get greenlit by anybody with real money, and so I really like to support those because it did have some interesting stuff. And I like teams that make the most of what they have as resources. So it is 2D, but it has a stylish look. And who doesn't love cheating people out of money at cards?
Also, I'm about to blow your guys' mind with a game so forgotten it didn't make Ains's list, even though it's AAA. And it's sort of the ultimate forgotten game, which is Outriders World Slayer. Outriders World Slayer came out in June. I reviewed it.
Okay.
We all talked about it for a long time on the show.
We had a debate over the loot systems. I remember.
It completely got forgotten about in really everyone's mind, including my own. I had to like go and look through my reviews to realize like, oh yeah, I reviewed that game this year, and I previewed it the month before. I played a lot of that game. So yeah, I think that is like a perfect example of forgotten game. And
It's
a
only
good
5 months
game.
ago too.
It was not that long ago, but like it just completely fell off the map in terms of anyone's consciousness. So that came out in June. I quite enjoyed that. Also, I reviewed Mario Strikers, which
Yes.
I also really liked. I think that's a good game. So it was a
Have
fun
they
month.
added content? The thing I heard about Strikers was very fun game, very light on content.
Yeah,
They had
that
a
was my
couple
big
more
criticism.
characters that got added. They got another arena that got added. They still haven't. I mean, it still feels like a very small kind of
Light game.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's still fewer characters than there were in the last Mario Strikers game. So
Okay.
yeah,
I'll talk about the Quarry.
Right.
The Quarry, if you like those, if you like that style of horror game, the whole interactive cinematic movie horror game, quite good. I really enjoyed my time with the Quarry. I play those with my wife,
It's
and
goofy. I like Corey.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's an 80s goofy horror movie in video game form, and it was fun one. I'll also shout out Cuphead's expansion. You know, I'm a Cuphead fanatic.
So good.
Played this. In fact, I'm about to 100% all of Cuphead with the expansion now. I think I'm 1 or 2 achievements away. But I loved it. It's very good. I was a little disappointed in its length. I knew it was just an expansion, but for a 4-year wait for that to only get 6 more bosses was a little disappointing. But it is when you look at it as a complete package, Cuphead, it's a fantastic game.
This is
And
why we don't hand
exactly,
animate
man.
video games, Zanes.
you're not kidding. You are not kidding. Yeah, and Shredder's Revenge got a lot of praise. Very
Great
highly
game.
rated game. Classic arcade co-op experience. Fantastic game.
Need to
Less
finish.
less mean than the other Turtles games.
Yeah. But it's good. I mean, it gives you that experience. So it's cool. All right. July, I have As Dusk Falls. We got the Hot Wheels expansion for Forza Horizon 5. We got the Game of the Year winner Stray. We got Live Alive.
Why?
We got Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which Hogue, is working on. And we got, thanks to Fiststring in the chat, who reminded me, because I would not have put it on the list, we got Digimon Survive.
Tag me in, coach.
Go on in, sir.
So this is the one that I wanted to talk about from the moment you invited me on this show, and that's the
Okay.
Forza Horizon 5 expansion. I have been openly critical on XEP and others about how badly botched Microsoft handled the launch of this, and it sucks because the game is elite. I think it's a top tier racing title, and they chose to do very little to no marketing and PR for it next to and in favor of As Dusk Falls. And in a year where Microsoft is so content light, to have something within the first party AAA space that they could have promoted and talked about more, and the expansion is genuinely fantastic, they chose to spotlight an indie game that has its own merits. But why not move it by a month? Why not space it out just a bit? Somehow, some way, this game has been, or this expansion, forgotten. This game not discussed in podcasting circles, didn't come up very much around Game of the Year conversations. And what a disappointment, all things considered, because the actual game is fantastic. And the Microsoft shot themselves in a foot in a year they couldn't really, or should not have been shooting themselves in a foot at all. And it just really disappoints me on so many levels to see such a great experience just ignored by Microsoft PR and marketing in favor of As Dusk Falls, when move it by a month. What damage was going to happen? Like, what, you had nothing else, move it a month. And it really, really frustrates me because people, Game Pass subscribers, promotional efforts, so many ways to enjoy that title were just ignored, and it
Luke,
sucks.
do you think there's any problem with the fact that they already did a Hot Wheels expansion? Because I felt like they were returning to a well.
I do not, given the quality and reception of the first one.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the gameplay itself. I'm talking about, like, in my head, I'm like, oh, they're doing another Hot Wheels one. I mean, that's how I felt about it.
I think that was, I understand where you're coming from. My alternative idea was that they do like an exploration of Microsoft franchises, like you riding through tracks in a Sea of Thieves level, you're being chased by a Brumach, or kind of an expansion on that Forza Horizon 4 Halo level, like that concept. That was my idea for an expansion for Forza Horizon. I don't think it's a problem that they returned to Hot Wheels, given its quality, but I do think it was less impactful you know, than the first
I mean,
time.
that's what the first time they did Hot Wheels, because it's fun to see it in AAA with the sun coming through it and doing the plastic stuff and all that. First time I was like, oh, that's amazing. Then they do Legos, amazing. And it's like, oh, I wonder what they'll do for 4 or 5. Sorry, and it's like, oh, it's Hot Wheels again, and I just didn't pop into it as much, and that could be my fault. I didn't like As Dusk Falls either. So, I mean, it's either way on these kinds of things. I know Ames really liked that one.
I hated As Dusk Falls.
Well,
yeah, Luke famously, we've talked in our chat about he didn't like it at all.
But I didn't like it. Not I think it's bad. I just didn't like it. That is not my kind of game at all.
It is my kind of game.
Okay, so that's a different type of dislike then, for sure.
Yeah, no, so it just didn't work for me. But it's interesting that you say that about Forza Horizon, because I downloaded it. I have it because I got the big version of Forza, and I truly haven't played it very much.
Yeah, I think you and a lot of people. I think the conversation dead on arrival. Nobody talked about it because there was no impact. It's kind of like when Disney puts out a movie, does zero marketing, and like, well, it didn't do well. It's like,
oh, Strange World. Yeah, sure,
exactly.
That one got butchered. But I think Ains truly skipped the clear winner of Forgotten Excellent Games in July, which is, he didn't mention at all Power Wash Simulator, right? Which, man, I don't know if you were in my timeline, you were seeing people power washing everything.
Good point. Well made.
I'm just saying, it was out there.
It's out there. Yeah, it's out
July
there.
For me was 100% dominated by Xenoblade Chronicles 3. That was literally my entire month. I think I got the code at the very end of June, and I finished the review at the end of July.
Yeah, you were so happy to get 3 weeks. You were so happy to get 3 weeks.
I was so happy to get 3 weeks and then a week to write and work on the video. I also reviewed the game Digimon Survive that came out in July, but we didn't do the review until after the game was out. So my review posted in August. So I think of it as an August game because I played it then. But Digimon Survive, I think I gave it a 6 out of 10. It's like a little bit muddy in terms of its gameplay. It's not very fun, but it's a competent visual novel. So if you're into visual novels, it tells a pretty interesting story using the world of Digimon if you care about the world of Digimon. So
interesting.
That was an interesting one.
Yeah, Fish String in the chat was mentioning, he said he really loved it. So
some people did. The combat was really hard to get around, and they make you do it a lot.
Okay,
more than they should have. So
gotcha. Yeah, I did review As Dusk Falls. I did enjoy it. I don't think it's Game of the Year material or anything like that, but I thought it was a good concept done well. I did play through it twice actually because I wanted to see with that type of game, can you really make a difference, in how things turn out, and pretty significant changes in what can happen in certain situations, which I enjoyed. So yeah, it's neat. I think it won. What award did it win at Game Award? It won something.
I don't think it did. It was nominated for narrative.
No, it definitely won because the woman. I talked to the woman about the game, and she was up.
I think
on
it was
stage.
like art or something like that, or it won some like. Yeah,
it couldn't have won art.
It won something.
Art direction was won by Elden Ring.
Not art direction. I think it was like something. I can't remember.
Can someone look it up real quick so I'm not typing while talking here?
I'll do it.
Games for
Impact. Oh God, that's a category.
Games for Impact. That doesn't even count.
It was the Woke Award. Interesting.
But it doesn't. You don't even have to get political on it. It doesn't mean anything at all. What is the impact of As Dusk Falls?
Well, that goes back to our conversation from last week we had about some of these categories that Travis made. Is like, or Travis pointed out, it's like, what does that even mean?
I made the categories. Blame it on me.
Send your DMs to Travis. He's responsible for the Game Awards category.
That's like when people message me about games I review and I give them a bad review, and then they message me like I made the game and are mad at me.
My favorites are the stories that you get from like IGN or Kotaku or Polygon or wherever, where people message them when there's a delay announcement. And it's like,
oh yeah,
why would you do this?
I'm a magazine, sir.
Let's get the super chat from Jay Mo Money in the house with the 199 super chat. Final Fantasy 6 for life. Bravo, man. Bravo.
Maybe, and that Pixel remaster came out this year. So they might be referencing that since we didn't reference it separately in this list, which is obviously an excellent remaster.
Yeah. So one of the legendary games. And on that note, let's do another giveaway. $25, your platform of choice. Put in hashtag FF6 in the chat. I'll enter you for the giveaway.
The Roman numeral or the Greek?
The normal 6, the number 6, not Roman numeral. Yeah, you got it. You got it. They got it. They know.
Arabic numerals.
Arabic numbers. Yep. See,
Yeah. There you
great
go.
minds.
See, but
All right.
now
Thank
you're
you
going to
guys. Yeah,
confuse them.
we'll let that run for a minute or two. Go ahead and do that. I'll pick a winner here shortly. We'll move on to August in the meantime. August saw Saints Row, Cult of the Lamb, Rumbleverse, the Melee Fortnite, if you will, Multiverses, Midnight Fight Express. I put on there for you, Travis. Immortality. I think someone played that game. I don't know who it was.
I can't remember.
Inscription came out on PlayStation. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga Collection, and Tinykin I put on here because I've heard from people that is a very fun game as well. But
Your list is porous, as in full of holes, Mr. Bolden.
It seems to be every month. Hit me.
Well, Arcade Paradise, which is one of my favorite games of the year, comes out in August.
It's a good game.
Arcade Paradise.
You got me to play that one.
Hey,
Sweet.
There you go. We mentioned Roller Drum comes out in August.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So that's one of the
Yeah, that was a really fun game. It was really fun.
I'm horrible at it, but I enjoyed it. And of course, one of the biggest ones in Hogue House, more than I think like 100 hours played. 2 Point Campus comes out in August.
2 Point Campus.
2 Point Campus. Also a good game.
Fantastic.
Got a little bit of play at the Northup household as well.
There you go.
The Northup household.
Yeah. No, 2 Point Campus. The review from Mrs. Hogue Law is that she preferred Hospital a little bit, but that there's a lot of imaginative stuff with Campus, and there's clearly more money and better animations and more fun stuff to see with some of the interactions with things, a little bit more Sims-like in terms of enjoying the animations, and a little bit less strategy-like as Hospital was.
And the review from Thai Girl Travis is that she generally enjoys high schools more than hospitals, but was very confused by the game mechanics and eventually lost interest, as she does with pretty much a lot.
Well, the first thing you need to tell her is that it's a college.
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 She knew what it was. I think they went to prom. I can't remember what she did. She managed to make it feel way more like high school. I was like, what are you doing?
All right, I'm going to give it one more minute on the hashtag FF6 for the $25 giveaway. While you're doing that, please hit that like button. Help us out a bit. I would appreciate it. And we'll pick a winner here in a minute. Saints Row, guys, a reboot that was, seemed to be pretty heavily anticipated. Although I think we said before launch we were kind of nervous about it, to see where it landed. And if I recall correctly, I have not played it. If I recall correctly, it launched with some pretty notable bugs and kind of issues.
Performance.
It was also just lifeless. It was a little bit of a lifeless world. The real tragedy with Saints Row is that a lot of people were saying, "Oh, this isn't my old Saints Row crew. I don't like the art style." Blah blah. All these like things that I would consider kind of like a little bit of toxic behavior online. And the game ended up failing. And I think that it failed for completely different reasons, but people aren't going to remember that when they're looking at it historically. It failed because it came out half baked and the world was like lifeless. But the stuff like that people were upset about in the initial reveal, I think ended up not being an issue for most people, certainly not for me. I was very hopeful about that game, and I was pretty devastated to see the sorry state it came out in, unfortunately.
Yeah, so a couple of things. Saints Row gets a performance patch about a month ago. It's about a lot more close to when it should have released. It is an old school kind of open world, so it doesn't have dynamism. It doesn't have the things you'd want to see. But Saints Row to me was always the discount store Grand Theft Auto. And so Saints Row new recipe kind of continues with that. I would disagree with Travis on one thing, which is that I do think overall, whether you call it toxic or not, certainly people are toxic all over the place. The deliberate decision to move away from where they had gotten, which was just ridiculous satirical zaniness. The earth explodes. You're all in a simulation, that kind of thing.
Right.
And trying to make it more grounded, I think leads to that lifelessness in some way. They themselves clearly had trouble kind of figuring out what these stories should be without going too zany and then without being boring. And so a lot of the stuff comes across as this kind of middle road of, we're still zany and toxic sludge and stuff, except that no, we're trying to make this seem somewhat realistic, which is a tone that kind of figured out in like Saints Row 2, give or take. And then this one is just botched. I don't know whether there's just different people. I think a lot of the same people are still there. I like Volition a lot. I'm one of the few people that will defend, the what is it, Agents of Mayhem. I think there's a lot of good ideas in that.
I like
game.
that game.
Yeah, but Saints Row to me was just kind of there. It's a 7 type game once you get past the performance stuff, and they basically have at this point. It's just not super enthusiastic. It's not something you say, hey, I would need to fire up Saints Row. It's what I feel like right now. And that's
I think they were definitely going for a Saints Row 2 vibe, which a lot of people in the series would say that's the best one. I think that's what they were trying to channel. I think they got that right with the tone. What I was referring to with the toxicity was the initial reveal of, people. There's just a lot of maidenless behavior is what I describe it as in the YouTube comments.
I'm not going to disagree with you. I do think, when you have those interviews that talk about, well, you got all the kind of catchphrases. We're not going to punch down, and we need to bring things back up to modern society, and we couldn't make those jokes anymore. Like, you're setting people up to think a certain way about your game. And
True.
So I think people meaning developers, need to be a little bit more circumspect about both their planning and then what they're going to tell people, because you can set expectations in a way that are self-defeating.
Correct. I agree. And I think they did set themselves up for that very well. I also disagree. I think you can make jokes in today's day and age. You just have to live with a certain groups of people not liking those jokes, which is sort of the risk that you take with comedy. So
I heard High on Life has great comedy. I'm kidding.
It certainly has comedy that a lot of people are going to think isn't woke. That's definitely true.
All right, let's pick the winner here real quick of the FF6 giveaway. Doing it now. We've got 37 people entered. All right. Well, that's Midnight Fight Express, one you reviewed and enjoyed, Travis. That was a good one.
Yes, I'll talk about that one. So I actually didn't review that one. I wish I did. I previewed it. So a couple of these I previewed actually and ended up playing like the Roller Drome was another one I previewed but didn't review. So Midnight Fight Express is an amazing game. I actually went back and played it when it came out. It's on Game Pass. You should definitely play it. Super surprising if you like Hotline Miami and those sorts of games. It's like that. It's got a lot of like charm to it and silliness, but also just like, you running around and pulling off badass stunts. It makes you feel like John Wick. That's it. It's just John Wick the game. You're just going around throwing chairs at people, punching them in the face, grabbing their guns. It's just really ridiculous, over the top, and really good fun. It's also a short play. I think this year was like a year where I did 25 reviews. I was just really hurting for like games that respected my time and that I could get through in a sitting or two. And Midnight Suns is one of those, or Midnight Fight Express was one of those where I hopped in, I finished it, and I was like, this is dope. And then I got out there and I did something else. So
cool.
Great.
Very cool.
Midnight Fight Express, not Midnight Suns. That game will take you forever.
Well, I was going to say, out of games that respect your time, that's not really where I would put Midnight Suns.
No, definitely not. No.
Last two that I don't need to talk about in August, Ains, but I did really like RPG Time, which is the game that takes place in a kid's notebook at middle school that goes through a bunch of different RPG mechanics. That came out in August. And then I also, I enjoy Soul Hackers 2, which is really a kind of entry into the Persona series that I think gets overlooked a little bit, that I think a lot of people would like to check out.
Cool. Yeah, I saw a few people talking about that one when it released. Let me just announce the winner. Painful Discourse. You are the winner of our second $25 giveaway, which is I love that name. But reach out to me in DM and we'll get you the code. Congratulations.
That's what Travis was talking about vis-a-vis Saints Row. Painful Discourse.
Painful Discourse.
Go ahead,
Discourse is often painful, but that's not a bad thing.
I just wanted to shout out the Cowabunga collection because that did a lot to work towards game preservation. I know I've been accidentally and intentionally plugging XCP here and there, but I had Stephen Frost on, who works at Digital Eclipse, and they do a really good job at taking old games and allowing them to be preserved and be played again by audiences that might have lost them. And not to mention that in order for the Cowabunga collection to exist, they did something that they had not been able to do before with like previous entries like Mega Man collection and such. And they got old licenses to kind of come out of the woodwork and bring these games back. They also did a ton of going into the vaults at Konami and just bringing out massive amounts of content, such as like concept art and level designs on paper. That's
cool.
all included in this, and it just really shows kind of the stuff they've done. They did the same things with the Atari collection
I
just a
love
few
the
weeks
Atari
ago.
collection.
Yeah, these collections by Digital Eclipse are special and not to be forgotten. I don't want them to be one of the forgotten games, collections, what have you. Definitely pick it up, and a lot of really cool stuff that's fun in there. Also, Multiverses did a lot of really cool things in that genre as well. That I think is, same.
One
Smash
best fighting
fans,
game,
and perhaps deservedly so, because Midnight Fight Express and what was the other one that we were
Sifu.
joking about? Sifu.
Midnight Fight Express and Sifu are not fighting games.
no.
What? How could they not be? You press buttons,
But
and
there's
hit
so much
things.
fighting in them.
Yeah. But yeah, I really like Multiverses. I think it's a really fun game. For me, it's like a every now and again pick up and play, and they've done a lot of really cool characters in there. And as a DC fan, I get to jump in and play as Batman and Superman, and that's fun too. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Multiverses and Rumbleverse, both free to play, by the way.
Mhm.
If you didn't play Rumbleverse, I played it briefly. It's think Fortnite with Melee. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. It's Fortnite in Melee form.
Smash Bros. Fortnite.
Yeah. And then I will big shout out to Cult of the Lamb. That is a beloved game. I enjoyed it, and I know the contributors over at SG. There's a couple who just adore that game. So one of our
there's a
kind of big ones.
sheep cultist plushie somewhere in this house. That is Ty Girl Travis's.
Would it be a lamb?
Is it a lamb? I don't know. Yeah. Is there actually a difference between a sheep and a lamb? I don't even know that.
Age.
To be honest with you. Oh, okay. That's what I thought.
This is funny, but yes, they were. I think they were given away, and I know you could buy the plushie too. It looked pretty cool. So, anyway, I will also.
I don't know enough about
obviously
stars.
We've talked. We've obviously talked about Immortality. I will shout out Inscription too. I haven't played it. It released on PlayStation in August.
Now that came out in 2021.
Yeah,
correct, but it got
PlayStation
released on PlayStation. Yeah, great game.
Yep. All right. September brings us Last of Us for the third time on PlayStation 5.
I hate my life.
I'm not familiar with that game. Is it a part of
It's
something?
the fourth time.
It's a fighting game.
It's the fourth time, Ains. Just to be clear, it's the fourth time.
Fourth time.
And it's not fun.
Wait a minute. Is it not? Is it the fourth time? It's released.
First game,
It's PlayStation
remaster.
4. It's this.
No. They remastered it first.
Yeah, I know, but that's the second time.
They played it, remaster, and then
Yep.
they did a PlayStation 4 release and then a PlayStation 5 release.
No, the
the
PlayStation
PlayStation
4
4
release
release
is
is
the
the
remaster.
Are we sure?
I'm positive. This is the third release. It's the third release in 9 years.
Still not fun.
Look it up, Travis.
Anyway.
The Marvel Snap game, whatever.
We got the new gen update for
The Marvel
Biomutant.
Snap.
You know I got to call that out. We got
Yeah, I
Steel
knew you were
Rising, Splatoon 3, Metal Hellsinger, Return to Monkey Island, Deathloop launched on Xbox. We got one that I think I've literally only heard Hogue talk about, the Diofield Chronicle, and of course we got Diofield Chronicle, and Grounded.
All right. So what did you miss? You missed the biggest one, which is going to make them a fortune eventually, which is Disney's Dreamlight Valley.
Dreamlight Valley, right?
Still going strong.
Did it come out? Do you count that like early access?
Well, I think it's very out.
Yeah.
they take money for it.
Sure.
It's out. And early access to me is a little bit like Fortnite having years of saying it was in beta for the Battle Royale.
But to be fair, Hogue, there are some games that feel like they didn't really come out until the early access was out. I would argue Dreamlight Valley is not one of those because, to your point, they sold it and they've now put more content into it, and there's a bunch of stuff in that game, live events, which sort of doesn't feel like early access to me. But one game that came out in September is Grounded, which really did not feel like it came out until it came out, right? Like it sort of, I played that game 2 years ago and then 1 year ago, and all the times I played it I was like, this isn't really a game yet, and then I played it in September.
I think the early access Grounded model is kind of what we're more familiar with. I think the Dreamlight Valley model is that Founders Pack model where they're just
exactly
kind of
right.
testing things,
Yep.
but otherwise it's out.
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly right. So September was an interesting month for me. I reviewed Dreamlight Valley. I reviewed Steel Rising. It's a kind of a forgotten game. Came out that month.
Yeah, I didn't care much for it, honestly, but
Yeah,
it's all right.
You didn't even finish your review, did you? Wasn't that one that you bailed on it? Like you couldn't get all the way through it, so you just stopped reviewing it. Was that the one?
I don't remember. I didn't finish it. I know that.
Okay.
But I don't remember. Honestly.
Yeah, I think you were trying to review that, and then you were just like, the game's out, and I don't like it. I'm not going to review it. Which, fair enough. No review is the harshest review, by the way. I can tell you this from my experience with developers, they would much rather have like a 3 or a 4 out of 10 than no review, because no review is like usually like, it wasn't even really worth talking about. Yikes. And I also reviewed Grounded that month, which I spent so much of my time in Grounded and have spent a lot of time in it since. So that was a great month for games for me.
Yeah, Splatoon 3 goes without saying. I think it was one of the biggest sellers in Japan, like all time.
Also, I don't know if we talked about this on the show, Ans, but I think
Hoag's dying. Go ahead, Travis.
I think you and I don't know if you play. I think you talked to me about playing it. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else, but I played Return to Monkey Island that month, which was really, really great. And I don't know if we talked about it on the show at all, but that was
we did talk about it on the show briefly. I have not played it. It wasn't me.
Okay.
But we did talk about it.
It's very good. Yeah.
No, it really captures the old Monkey Island really nicely.
Yeah. I love the art style. I love everything about that game really, really I haven't talked enough about that game.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've heard great things as well. And Field Chronicle, I know you talked about previously, Hoag. You said it's one of those kind of 7 out of 10s that will be remembered by, I think you called it a potential cult classic.
I did. I was going to say that just now. I think it is a cult classic. I think it does a lot of really cool things. I think it'll probably be used by other people doing bigger projects as examples of how to handle certain aspects of strategy in real time. But it's wonderful. I love Field Chronicle.
I will say it is named like a game that wanted to be a cult classic, and no larger audience than that. I don't know. I have that one installed. I want to play that one.
I don't know what to do with Square. They make choices. Field is great.
I'm surprised we didn't talk about Babylon's Fall more. I mean, come on.
It was aptly named.
In October, we get the long-awaited Overwatch 2.
Hey, one thing I do want to call out. I don't know where this falls in early access land, but I've really enjoyed my time with Temtem.
Oh okay. Yes, I reviewed Temtem.
Back in the day. I don't even think I realized that. So yeah, Temtem I think officially releases in September. Pokemon game, obviously more than inspired by Pokemon, but it's nice to play a hard Pokemon game. Honestly,
it was also better than Pokemon in a lot of ways. They solved so many problems that Pokemon has. They finally got the MMO thing right, which I would argue the Scarlet and Violet did worse in terms of the multiplayer part. It solves like the whole the whole PP and just using the same moves over and over again thing by using energy bar system.
Yep.
I reviewed that game over a year ago before it was fully released, and we ended up not doing a post full release review. I actually petitioned Dan Stapleton to do it, but then he looked at the metrics and saw that there just wasn't much conversation around it, unfortunately.
Totally fine. Yeah, and I don't know whether to count that as release. It officially releases, but they had a lot of, especially on PC, a lot of back support.
Yeah. But I gave it an 8 even when it was a year ago, when it was an unfinished game. And I would say like I've played that with my fiance since, and it's honestly way better than people give it credit for. It's such a good game.
It's a very elaborate battle system that is quite difficult in parts, and I like that. Pokemon never pushes back enough.
Never. Yeah, you get your ass kicked in some of those boss fights. It's pretty awesome.
Nice.
Good game.
Nice. All right, so October, pretty big month. Overwatch 2, Scorn. Got Plague Tale Requiem, one of the Game of the Year runners. We got Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. We got Gotham Knights. We got Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. New Tales from the Borderlands. Bayonetta 3. Obviously Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And then we got the expansion for Resident Evil Village, Shadows of Rose. So some pretty major releases here.
I had a lot of fun in October. I'll talk because I feel like you guys are going to talk about the big ones. I really liked Ghostbusters Spirit Unleashed. That was a really, really fun game.
I do too.
I think it's just a good fun. It captures a lot of the nostalgic good time, but combines it with good gameplay. And there's a fun simplicity to it that I enjoy just going in and having a good time, being a Ghostbuster. And when I'm done, I jump out and then I'll go that's a game I'll probably revisit pretty regularly.
It's very fast. Yeah.
And it's just simple video game fun, which is how I would describe a good chunk of Gotham Knights. Once you get past some of its direction problems, I actually had a lot of fun in Gotham Knights. I 1K'd it. I think I did 60 hours into it. Haven't gone into Heroic Assault. I wanted to do more content around it. At the time, just got busy, but I had a lot of fun with Gotham Knights once I let it be Gotham Knights and not Arkham Knights 2. And that step past it let me enjoy it in a lot of ways. And I'm a diehard DC fan, so there is that element of it, but I got to save Gotham once again, which as a DC fan, great. I got, enjoyed that. But those are two games that really helped me enjoy my October gaming run amidst some of the other heavy hitters, because October was packed for stuff to be interested in. I didn't even look at Scorn, which I thought I would have. Plague Tale was never my jam. And I absolutely loved Modern Warfare 2, and I really enjoyed Shadows of Rose, despite it being kind of lackluster. It let me go back to Resident Evil. So like October for me was awesome for stuff that I enjoyed playing. So forget review scores on that front. I had fun.
I like the direct attack on Travis, really.
Yeah, I
enjoyed
feel
my
like
back conversation.
October was the month of me crushing Luke's dreams, because I reviewed most of those games you talked about. I reviewed Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed, which I gave a 6 out of 10.
Which he convinced me to buy with that 6 out of 10 because I read the reviews.
Yeah. So my review is basically that I liked it, but it has balance issues, content issue, like content quantity issues, that sort of stuff that kind of just made it it's okay. It's an okay game. And then I reviewed Gotham Knights, which is a game I gave a 5 out of 10. Sorry, Luke. But yeah, to your point, it's you have to get past it being not being Arkham Knight because it's worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is sort of the problem, right? Is that it's worse than a game that came out a long time ago. And I also reviewed Plague Tale Requiem, which
so did
I know it's not your jam, Luke, but that is the best game I played that month, I think. So
it's a great game.
Actually, Mario plus Rabbids.
It's absolutely hilarious because I keep getting bored of Plague Tale 1, and I'm never going to play Plague Tale 2 because I can't.
Probably not.
I keep getting bored of it.
Yeah.
Same.
Plague Tale 2 is better in my opinion.
I know, but you told me I have to play 1.
The stories are directly connected.
I really when I responded to Travis's statement about like how he reviewed him and he gave him review scores, and I think that's the difference between having to review for a site objectively versus being just interested. Like you had to look at really analytical approaches to those games. And I think it's a very fair, understandable approach to having to look at, Ghostbusters and what content it gives you, and having to look at Gotham and compare it to the others. I didn't have to do that. I could just go in and play as a fan. And that is the difference, I think, because I think I actually messaged you. I can't disagree with a lot of what you said in your review. I think I agree with almost all of it, and I still had a blast. And
you
that
don't have
is
to be this nice to Travis, Luke. He screwed up on Gotham Knights. It's fine.
I don't think I did, but
I think he screwed up on the score, but not the critiques. Like he actively critiques stuff that deserves critique in my mind. But the weight of which he offered some of those things, like I would not have gone 5. I would have gone
for a 7. I think I might have pushed him up from a 4.
Man, which is wild to me because there's so much. Go ahead.
I would have never have given that game a 4. I don't think it's an actively bad game. I just think it's very mediocre. It doesn't do really anything super well. It does a lot of things okay, but I wouldn't say there's anything in that game where you're like, wow, it absolutely nails this, right? It just sort of does a lot of stuff like, all right, it's okay.
I see. I disagree about that.
Which I don't want to. Yeah, I know. I wish we would have gotten to do that podcast. We were supposed to do a podcast together to talk about it, and we didn't end up coming together.
I wrote a good counterpoint piece that I put on SG a few weeks ago for Gotham Knights for anybody that wants to go the other route for it. I enjoyed writing that one because you're right. I wish we could have done that one. That would have been fun.
It would have been a good show. But yeah, to Hoke's point, he bought Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed based on my 6 out of 10 review, and I think that's the point of like writing a review, is that it's more than the score. If you read the words and you say, okay, look, this guy has some valid criticisms, but I don't think any of these are deal breakers, you can buy and enjoy a 5 out of 10 game. It just really depends on what you want out of that. And I think I'll say this, the 5 out of 10 score was useful for a lot of people who looked at that and said, okay, yeah, this isn't the game that I wanted. And I mean, out of all the games this year that got backlash for my review scores, and obviously the consensus from the commenters is by no means an indicator that I'm right or wrong, but that was one of the ones where a lot of people were like, yeah, I'm, you know, they were happy with the score for once, which is interesting from a game with that much acclaim and hype behind it.
Fair enough. I know. I mean, there's a lot to talk about here. We could talk more on Plague Tale Requiem. I really enjoyed, one of my favorites of the year. Modern Warfare 2 is Modern Warfare 2. I mean, you know, it's between that and Warzone, it's 1 and 2 most played games in the world right now.
Well, in terms of forgotten games in October, I do think Star Ocean is not nearly as bad as it probably should be.
Yeah.
Star Ocean turned out better, certainly, than its immediate predecessor. This is one that I picked up during like the Thanksgiving, Black Friday type sale.
Me too.
And I dropped into it and I was like, whoa, hey now. And so Star Ocean, Divine Force is okay.
Cool.
Not bad.
Very cool.
Also, Sparks of Hope is amazing.
Sparks of Hope. I don't know that anybody's forgotten about Sparks of Hope. I still kind of prefer the setup in the first game, but Sparks of Hope is very good.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet. It's in the bakery waiting for me. I'm getting there. In November, we had another big month. Do my best to capture these. So I call out the Entropy Center only because I know our reviewer really liked that one. I had Harvestella. We had Sonic Frontiers. Why does it feel like Sonic released before that? No,
okay. It's November.
No, November.
Okay, so now I'm
right against
Sonic.
Ragnarok because I had the 2 squares up.
Also, Hogue,
right.
we did a bad thing, which is we forgot Slime Ranchers 2 in September. I reviewed
Slime Ranchers 2. I don't consider to be out. I don't think it's remotely close to out.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's not, but
it's
it has
not
a lot of excitement behind it. A lot of people.
Slime Rancher 2 is going to be awesome. It is not done at all.
Not done.
Yeah.
Okay. Sonic Frontiers, God of War Ragnarok, obviously, Vampire Survivors, Tactics Ogre Reborn, Somerville, Pentiment, Warzone 2 officially launched, Goat Simulator 3, Pokemon Violet and Scarlet, The Devil in Me, and Evil West in November.
Well, yeah, Front Mission. I've been playing Front Mission again.
Okay.
So that's in November.
For me, I reviewed Pentiment, which I've talked about before, so I don't need to go on about that. I really enjoyed it.
Nobody's forgotten Pentiment, Ames.
No one's forgotten most of these.
Oh, damn. We also forgot Marvel Snap that came out in October.
Okay. Marvel Snap.
Yeah, big game.
Yeah, mobile games have release dates. It's just it always has been, always will be, always was.
Yes, very
Correct.
true. I hit collection level 500 yesterday, boys.
Oh my God.
I'm still playing.
Nice.
I'm
at 2000.
still playing a mobile game.
You're making me feel like a crack dealer or something, like telling you didn't want to play this game at all.
I'm still playing it every day. I don't play it often. Like I'll play.
But that's the beauty of it is you don't have to. You can just play like 2 or 3 matches a day. You know what I mean?
I told you it's excellent for American football. It is almost exactly the time of a commercial.
Like I don't really know how someone could sit there and say play like 20 matches in a row. Like, but playing like 2-3 matches at a time.
It's 1,000 something. It's not gonna.
I get
1,900 and something. I'm almost at 2,000.
Good Lord,
you're a crazy person.
Yeah, you're out of your mind.
Played it.
Vampire Survivors has taken the world by storm. Kind of ended up on a bunch of different lists. It's all over the place.
It's a great game.
Yeah, I mean, people love this game.
It's
You don't have to like it, but it's true. I mean, this game is everywhere.
It is nothing.
It is nothing. I don't dislike it. It is nothing. Those are not sentences that go together. Those are very mixed messages.
You walk around, you make builds. It's good. It's good.
November, my reviews were Sonic Frontiers.
Yep.
No,
which you gave a 7, if I recall.
Which I gave a 7. Goat Simulator 3, which I gave an 8.
Which you gave a higher score. Yes.
Which I gave a higher score.
You lunatic.
I'm a lunatic. I stand by it. I mean, honestly, it's the polish in Sonic Frontiers that hurts me. It's a great game though. I'm not gonna take that away from you. Honestly though, a 7 on a Sonic game is a godsend for the Sonic community. I don't know how much of you guys are Sonic fans out here, but like we've been hurting in the Sonic
called it
community
the Troubles. Yes.
Yeah. It's great. Yeah.
I think I talked about it at the top of the show. I just like that game did a lot to bring me back into that franchise and that character.
Frontiers is great.
It's good.
I played a
Good.
lot of these games actually. November, I pretty much played all of these. Evil West was really good. The Devil and Me, I completed that. That was like my Thanksgiving with friends. Pass the controller around.
I've only just started it with the wife. We got to continue it. So
it's not very
I've heard
good.
it's good. Oh, okay, never mind.
No, it's not very good.
It doesn't
it's
have the
definitely
humor of High on Life,
That's right. No, it's probably one of the worst written ones. Unfortunately, it just really didn't do a lot for me.
They aren't super awesomely written as it stands.
I know, Hogue. I know exactly what I'm saying when I say that. It's even for their standard, it's pretty bad. So,
oh no.
Well, we played the first like 2 hours, and my wife and I were like, "This is not very good so far." But bunch of people said it gets good, and I'm like, "All right."
There's your favorite mechanic in the game, Ains, which is you're going to be squeaking between lots of crevices in that game, like way more. It doesn't make any sense because it's like the only game where you don't need that, but they still do it a lot. It's crazy.
Oh boy. Speaking of God of War Ragnarok,
did you mention Tactics Ogre for that month? Because that's been the one that I've been playing the most from November.
I did. Yes, I made sure to put that on there for you specifically. Yeah. But I think it's worth calling out too, right? Because I mean, Tactics Ogre is it's been around a very long time.
It got a cleanup pass. It's got some quality of life stuff. A lot of people haven't played it. It scares me to see the copyright date on the front menu.
Yes, I know.
It's an existential terror. It's the scariest thing since Resident Evil.
What is the copyright date on it?
I think it's 93.
It's got to be Super Nintendo era. Yeah, 90. Yeah,
it might be 90.
It's like 94. A sequel to like a really old game.
So Tactics Ogre is technically episode 8 of the Ogre Battle saga. You might be familiar with Ogre Battle as a game series. Maybe not, Travis. Okay.
Very vaguely.
All right. So Tactics
Travis
Ogre
is a young buck.
Tactics Ogre is essentially the predecessor to Final Fantasy Tactics. If you were to play Tactics Ogre right now, you would say this is Final Fantasy Tactics, right? And I would tell you that it was before Final Fantasy Tactics. But it takes characters from the immediately previous game, which was on the N64, called Ogre Battle, just here in the West, because we didn't get a lot of these brought over. And that was a kind of real-time macro strategy game where you moved armies on like continent-sized maps. And then they wanted to bring it down to character levels. And so they kind of invented this tactics genre that has a lot of verticality to it. So it's those blocks that you know from Final Fantasy, when at the same time period in video games, you're looking at like Shining Force, the Shining series from the Sega Genesis side of things. It's all very flat. And Fire Emblem, which would have been happening in Japan, but that did come over to us, so we didn't know it in the West. So Tactics Ogre takes that kind of 3D look that you're familiar with in Final Fantasy Tactics. A little bit bigger. They have 12-person teams instead of 6 in Final Fantasy Tactics. But it is excellent. It has a very in-depth story. It has all that kind of Ivalice feel that you might like from those Final Fantasy games, and has warring nation states and betrayals and diplomacy and all that stuff.
Cool.
There you go.
Cool is a good answer to that. Yes.
By the way, we did have a super chat sitting here from Gecko Gamer talking about your quick playthrough of Midnight Fight Express, and you mentioned Snap, and he just said Midnight Snap Express. You know, you got to.
Yeah, I think you could have made it better if you called it Tom Clancy's Midnight Snap Express. That would have made it more money. That would have been my punch up to that joke, Gecko.
Yeah, Gecko. Thank you. Sorry for getting to that one a little late there. Appreciate you. God of War Ragnarok, we've talked about ad nauseum. We don't need to do that. The only thing I wanted to point out, because funny enough, Luke is pretty much, I think, in the similar camp with me and you on this game, Hogue. You know, a little more critical of it, I think.
Funny, because people are pretty mean to me in my take on God of War.
Well, here's someone. So I wanted to share this with you guys, and believe me, I preface this with user score is not something to go on. I realize this, so just bear with me.
Especially not for exclusives, because you're going to get some
especially not for exclusives. But bear with me. So someone said this to me, and they said it is kind of interesting that the user score for God of War 2018 is so much higher than Ragnarok, even though the critic score is the same. And I said, really? And I went and looked, and sure enough, if you look, same critic score, user score 9.1 for 2018, 7.9 for Ragnarok.
Well, I think the critics really whiffed on Ragnarok. We'd have to do a lot of diving into why, whether it's just polish or marketing, or I think someone posited, maybe on this show, maybe elsewhere, that it was just that week of a year that it looks brighter. It's a brighter light by comparison, with so many games delayed, so few AAA experiences even being sold. But yeah,
I don't know if it's that, but yeah, I think
there's probably several factors, but I do feel like whiffed is a good word. I feel like they weren't.
I think the
critical of
10s
that
are
game.
crazy. But I mean, I said this is where I got every IGN writer in the world to come onto my Twitter thread and yell at me.
Well, I promise you, Hogue, people have not been as mean to you about God of War Ragnarok in your takes as they have been about me with Choo Choo Charles for some reason. For some reason, I still get daily death threats and people calling me all these awful things. I'm like, dude, what
The funniest
not a
ones
good
to me
game.
are the ones that are like, you're an old boomer lawyer who clearly doesn't play video games. And it's like,
I mean, you could just look. That's like demonstrably false. You
I
can
don't know
look
what
at
to
his
tell you.
PlayStation account. Guys, I'll give
Yeah.
you his Xbox Live account. Yeah, I'll show you where you can find all of his achievements.
Start sharing my account.
I'll give
I'm
you his
gonna
home
start
address, and then you can just go
Yeah.
talk to him. It's fine.
I'll tell you
Don't
where
worry
his kids go to school. You can ask them about his play time. All right.
The frustrating thing about Ragnarok reviews is they forgot to be critical. Like there's a lot of objective quality, and in a lot of places, it's like, why are you allowing this to happen in another game? You would be far more vitriolic. And I'm not calling out one reviewer or one outlet, because Ragnarok
I agree
is
on
fantastic.
this one, man. I read the IGN review and I know that reviewer, and I was like, yeah, the type of guy for him. I believe him that he believes it's a 10. But
sometimes The Godfather is followed up by a movie like The Godfather 2. Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, that was my response too. It was just yikes. It was like, oh, I wouldn't have written that.
It's why I mean, and Ragnarok is a great video game, and I'm more talking about the review process. But I think when you look at the Game Awards and the way that those awards are assigned and aggregated, the nominations, it's just a reminder that once again, the people involved in critiquing things might be very different than the majority of those playing it, and that's why you get some user scores that are fairly accurate. I think 7.9 is a little lower than I would have perhaps got. Like in my mind, the game would be an 8.5, and I would have thought it'd be comfortably between 8 and 9 on a user score when you remove like those that are bombing it and giving it zeros, because that's objectively stupid. Ragnarok is a
Can't
legitimately
remove those, though. That's my point, is that the user scores are almost always completely wrong, because the users think in terms of 10 and 0. That's it. I mean, there's data to support that. It's either bots that are doing that or trolls, or it's just that people are thumbs up, thumbs down, and are really aggressive with their opinions, but there's no moderation. And so you get games that, honestly, I mean, I don't trust user reviews about as far as I could throw Hogue.
No, but I
there are some outlets I don't trust at all. Some critical reviews. Go ahead, Ains.
The point was, in that comparison, is that 2018, which is God of War, it's only 4 years ago. It's an exclusive. All the things we've already said is a 9.1 on user score. It's generally agreed upon, at least based on that user score, that it's an excellent game. And the fact that the sequel, is noticeably lower. And I think from at least, and again, anecdotally from people I've talked to, many of us feel the same way, that 2018 is the better overall game.
100%. 100%. Like not even close. Not even close. And when you're talking about examining elite games, it's not even close. You zoom out to the greater scope of video games, sure, close.
Well, it depends on what you value, right, Luke? Because the battling in Ragnarok is much better. I don't.
There's aspects of Ragnarok that are better for sure.
Since it's such a narrative, cinematic focused game, I think that's its major failings: is pacing and structure and repetition and anticlimax and all this stuff. But I will give God of War Ragnarok, I had more fun actually playing it against monsters than I did in 2018.
That's very comforting to hear, because
that's one of the things it does do better.
The battle system gets, it's much better than 20.
Because the first 5 hours, I would even say the battle system, I was sort of like, I don't know.
I agree with that.
Doing it
I was the same way, but it does get better, Travis.
Thank God.
But it takes too long to get better.
Yeah. Well, thank God for that, because that's one of the mountains I have to climb the next couple weeks.
I'll have ironic waiting for you.
Given
because that was the plot of the first game.
Yeah, there it is. I got it. Also, that there is the payoff at the end, the comparative reveal at the end, lame. Like in 2018, you had this dope reveal of something, and then
these
guys aren't going to agree with 2018.
Travis, I will say Luke is right in that it's a worse ending than 2018.
Really?
And I will say Travis is right because 2018's ending was no great shakes. There you
I
go.
did.
Oh,
And
I'm not-
they
guys,
I
you
said
are
we
not
weren't gonna
making
talk
this.
about Ragnarok,
I
and
am
here we
not.
go.
You're not making this easy on me. I'm not looking forward to it.
I told you I'll have your pastry ready for you. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be
If
great.
God of War 3 doesn't massively, if it has a Last of Us 2 problem, like you need an editor. You need an editor. You know, you don't need to be so up your own ass. You don't need to attempt Kojima. Just relax.
The problem is, right, their feedback is game of the year type awards. They don't think I'd argue they don't think they're doing anything wrong. I think they think they're hitting the mark. This game is critically well received, very well received, and it's selling like hotcakes. What would Sony look at and go, we need to change this?
That is a good counterpoint, and
Ames.
any counterpoint I could give to you to like try to rebuttal it would fall on deaf ears if I'm at Sony, and so
Yeah, they're not
can't
listening
argue.
to this bullshit, right? They're looking at sales and they're looking at where
We're
they're
looking at
awarded
Phil
and they're winning
Spencer's
both.
face at the Game Awards. That's really all they need. Right?
That man needs a nap. I love Phil Spencer. I genuinely think he's a good leader, but man, he's not looking healthy right now. It's almost like they're overworking him, and the deals aren't going through.
I blame the FTC personally.
I'm
Um,
not
blame
talking
Hogue.
about it.
I think it's
I-
Hogue's personal YouTube channel that's making him so drained of life.
I blame Twitter. Jim Ryan and the FTC said they're going to go look at social media accounts. They're going to check on what people think of this deal. This is clearly Twitter's fault.
Yeah. All right. Moving on from
Take
that,
a nap, Phil.
we close out the year with Callisto Protocol, Midnight Suns, Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, High on Life, and the new gen update for Witcher 3, all of which we've talked about very recently.
And
The only
Dragon
thing
Quest
I don't think we have talked about is Crisis Core.
So Dragon Quest Treasures also came out,
Okay.
which is pretty popular in Japan, I know.
Choo Choo Charles came out. Don't forget.
Crisis Core is just as dumpy as I remember it. Sorry, Crisis Core fans. I always put this in a bucket that said and it's now a high definition. So there you go.
I haven't played it, so I can't talk to it.
It's-
This
Yeah, I
isn't
haven't played
it's
that.
not my thing. I'm on
It's a
Witcher 3. I'm
PlayStation
happy.
portable game. Enjoy.
There you go. I have High on Life installed. I am going to play that soon, at least try it to see if I like it. But Witcher 3 has me fully engrossed, like I said. I did enjoy Callisto Protocol quite a bit.
I like
Reviewed
Callisto
that one. My review's up, and you guys have praised Midnight Suns pretty heavily. So,
Midnight Suns is going to
And
fight
Dan
Immortality.
likes it.
and Dan does like it.
likes it. I am very
Midnight Suns is going to
surprised.
fight Immortality for my game of the year right now.
Wow.
In my
I
headspace.
I honestly could not believe that Dan liked it. Hogue, I think I owe you that Cracker Barrel.
You could buy me
Yeah,
some
man.
Cracker Barrel. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well, let's
Is
just
Cracker
try not
Barrel
to fall
good,
in love with
chat?
me like Dan did. All right.
I can't make no promise.
Got to be careful on Cracker Barrel. That's where
It's where love
lives go
happens.
down.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yep.
So they have all those family goods in the gift shop.
That's right.
That's it.
It's a start a
That's it.
family foundation.
I'm sorry, Luke. What were you saying?
I'm not a Cracker Barrel person.
Oh, that's okay.
Me neither.
Sorry.
This is a reference to the last.
That's why this
episode
bet
where-
happened. Is the left side of the screen hated Cracker Barrel, and the right side of the screen vouched for it.
Yeah. Split down
I'm
the
glad you met your wife there. Is that that was the
No,
Dan
Dan
did.
did.
Dan did? Okay,
Dan
gotcha.
met his wife there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I have to wonder how she feels about that choice. You know, that's
She was
the
working there.
No, the choice to marry Dan.
Yeah,
was
yeah,
the- I
that
think
part.
the choice. Yeah. So she
Yeah.
probably has bad memories because A, she worked there, and B, she met her husband there. It's just too many bad things in one place.
Doing Dan bad. He's not even here to defend himself.
I'll
And-
defend
and
He
the
would
fucking
agree with us.
He probably
would
agree. He would
immediately- yeah,
probably
yeah.
agree.
Be like 100%, 100%.
Oh boy, let me get the super chat from Gecko Gamer back again. €6 super chat. If I am allowed to recommend 2 games you might have missed, no problem. Dwarf Fortress, which is out on Steam, he said in the chat.
now
An
with
absurd
graphics.
colony sim, and Lil Gator Game, a wholesome platformer.
I will check
Okay.
out Lil Gator Game. I've been playing Dwarf Fortress for a while.
Okay.
So it got a graphics update. I don't know if that counts as a release or not. But yeah, I don't. I think they're good recommendations. I don't know anything about Lil Gator Game, but we play a game called Daddish about a radish dad. So we play all sorts of stuff here.
Love it.
Awesome. Thank you, Gecko. Appreciate
Daddish
you.
2 is also out, by the way.
Oh my God, there's a sequel to
There's a
Daddish.
sequel. There's a sequel, yeah.
I tell you
Wow.
what, every time you rescue one of the little radish kids, they make some snide comment. My girls dig it. Eat it up.
Well, guys,
now the truly
go.
forgotten game is, of course, Advanced Wars Collection. Where is it? When will we get it, Nintendo? I needed to complete my tactic strategy.
That was
game.
supposed to come out this year, wasn't it?
It was
when they
supposed
first
to come out in like February.
They took it out.
Yeah.
They didn't release it because it had similarities to Russia. One of the factions did.
Right.
Sure, and then they just, they had a bearded guy with one of those hats, but they released 3 other tactic strategy games. I think we can get through it. Modern Warfare released. It had tanks and planes. Nintendo, we can do this together. No one is going to think about Russia and the Ukraine when you release Advanced Wars Collection, okay? Just release it.
I will, and I'll be.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna do it just to spite Nintendo.
Travis and Luke are gonna write articles, be like, "This is outrageous.
Outrageous.
How could they
How
even
dare
deign
they?
to release such a thing?"
You can't reference Russia.
That's right. How dare you? They're not in any
also-
other video game like Call of Duty or any other.
Nope.
It's true. I've never heard of them before Advanced Wars.
Yeah.
I will shout out World of Warcraft Dragonflight too. I got a couple guys at Season Gaming who are back big time in the World of Warcraft. Said that Dragonflight, from what they tell me, is kind of the best thing to happen to World of Warcraft in years, which they've been waiting on. So it's supposed to be quite good, from what I hear. So,
All
all right, boys.
Wrap.
I think that's a 2022 wrap for the Bitcast. I want to close out by saying thank you. Obviously, it's been a great year, and it's a shame Dan's not here to join us for the wrap up. But Luke, thank you for coming in today and subbing with us. It's been an amazing year for Bitcast. It was great having Hogue join us full time, and I think that I've said before that I think kind of rounded us out and made us the show I was hoping we could be, if that makes sense. And I just genuinely enjoy chatting games with you guys every week. Seriously, it's just a blast. We have a really good time. And, we've gained a much bigger audience this year, which has been fantastic. Chat, you're always amazing here hanging out with us. Thank you to everyone who tunes in. And I'm really, really excited about kind of continuing to grow this next year. And 2023, looks like it could be an amazing year for games. We'll see what happens. I think it'll be an amazing year no matter what, but we'll see what actually releases when. But I am very excited for it. But with that, we're going to wrap 2022 because, like I said, we're off next week. It is Christmas Day, so we're taking that week off. The following week is New Year's Day. We have not finalized what we're doing yet. Just stay tuned on Twitter. Stay tuned to the channel. I will post an update as to our plans on what we're going to do when we sort that out. But just a huge, huge thank you to everyone who tunes in and hangs out with us. It's been a blast. Anything you guys like to add to that?
Can I plug something?
Plug away.
Well, yeah.
No? Okay. No. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought,
No. So we're still going to close. That's not the end.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Asking if Travis or Hogue wanted to add to anything I said about Bitcast. That was
I appreciate that you've kept me on the show for as long as you have. Sorry for all the things that I said and opinions I had. I think adding Hogue was terrible for my long-term and short-term health, but great for the show. I'm excited to be here in 2023 and find out more things that I dislike about you guys, and in turn have you guys figure out more things you dislike about me, like the way I pronounce 2023.
It is a very pronounced 20 there.
Sorry. Yeah. 2023.
No, I've been happy to be here. Obviously, I am going to finish this show and I'm going to take a nap.
Yeah, we like I said, shame Dan couldn't be here. Hogue's not in the best of health, but we made it through. We were wrapping up.
We limped across the finish line of 2023.
Yeah, we were limp crawling across the finish line. With that, just stay tuned to Season Gaming. We still have a couple things that are coming in 2022, a couple fun things, including this week. A bunch of our contributors are putting together one big article about our favorite games of the year and why. And it has a bunch of other games that we didn't talk about today. So you may want to check that out. I also interviewed Stephen Danton from 2 Ton Studios on Friday. That goes live for everyone on the channel tomorrow. It's live for channel members now. But we talked about him developing his first game, his time at Microsoft, the gaming industry, launching on Game Pass. So a lot of interesting commentary there. We even talked about the game design of God of War Ragnarok, which was kind of fascinating. So take a look for that. But with that, Luke, thank you as always for tuning in, for subbing in. and jumping in when we needed someone. Appreciate you, and obviously, love what you do over at Xbox Expansion Pass. Your contributions over at Season Gaming this year. Tell us where people can find you and what you've been up to, or what you're going to be up to.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me on. I stayed awake for an entire 3-hour podcast, Ains. Just want to point that out. Nailed
it's because it was in the morning, not at night. That's the thing.
Bear that. Yeah, you can find me on all the socials at Insipid Ghost. All the socials now. I'm expanding away from the old Twitterverse as that continues to die its death. But I do want to spotlight the most recent episode of XEP. I had on a Ukrainian developer from Frogwares. They make the Sherlock Holmes games, and we had to reschedule multiple times because of random power outages and attacks. I was getting up at 5 a.m. to make sure I could talk to them at a safe time for them, and it was a really powerful interview. And I would like people to listen to it, not specifically because it's my content, but really because it was a powerful interview. There is a moment of silence in the beginning. I asked her a question about her state of mind, and she goes quiet for a moment. I debated like editing it because it ran long, but it was powerful, and I hope people check it out. I had one or two journalists actually say like their editors didn't want to spotlight it because it's not as relevant now, the Ukrainian war, and I was really shocked by that. It kind of took me aback. So I would like people to go listen to that interview because it was powerful, and I had a pretty big year in terms of getting to interview some high profile people in 2022. But bar none, I'm glad this was the one to kind of climactically end this one because it felt like it mattered the most, I suppose. So I would love people to go check that out. All the podcast platforms. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. All right. Guys, Travis, I'll start with you.
Yeah. I did a ton in the past week. I got 2 previews and a review out the door. So you can check out my previews of One Piece Odyssey if you are an anime or One Piece fan. You can check out my preview of Superfuse, my second preview of Superfuse, where I talk about their second character they added to the game and some other stuff. And you can read my review of High on Life. Other than that, I am wrapped for the year in terms of my games writing, which is fantastic. 25 reviews, officially the highest volume reviewer at IGN. Nice. Number 1 with a bullet. Second place was 18 reviews. So yeah, very cool. And my first review in 2023 will be a SpongeBob SquarePants platformer game. So it's already looking like a red letter year for Travis and his review games. It's going to be exciting. So tune in next year for more of me having opinions and such. Thanks, guys.
That's a lot of reviews in a year, man. Well done.
Thanks, man.
Can't fathom it. He reviewed things like Grounded and Xenoblade, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of time, no doubt. Hogue, before you die and crawl over to bed there, what are you up to? Trying to get better?
Honestly, don't know what I'm up to. Still planning to get some stuff done. As I said at the top of this video, I haven't been online since Tuesday as I try to get a little bit more, better. The issue, of course, is that it's one thing to do a 4-person panel show, and it's another to be the only person on the camera and try to speak through all of that. So we'll see. I'm still planning on coming back soon, but I don't know. It'll be some combination of Hangouts and Headlines, Virtual Legality. I'm still planning to do what amounts to a catch-up video live for as long as it takes on everything that's happened in Microsoft times Activision since Tuesday. So I think people will enjoy that, but I got to make sure that my voice can take it. So we'll see when that winds up happening. Obviously, we got the holidays, but come check out the YouTube channel. As I said, hired Chinchilla as an editor because they're amazing. So we'll get more stuff that they keep plucking out of my videos and making into awesome content. So that'll be on the channel at minimum to remind YouTube that I'm alive. So come visit over there or on Twitter at Hoglaw, where I generally am going to rant about things. Certainly New Year's Eve is the Michigan football game. So we'll see what has in store for me in 2022 and 2023.
Fantastic. Well, with that, I'll just say that Don Lionheart got his 3-hour show because here we are.
He did.
He got it right at the top. We didn't expect it, but he did. Happy holidays to everyone. I hope you have some great time off, hopefully from work and duties and anything else. I hope you enjoy time with your families, and we will see you in the new year. Until then.